subscribe. Subscribe to my guy, Uncle D. Tell him Big Bass sent you.
Spurling. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas, an advocate for black men, largely because I am a black man. I'm a black father, I have black sons. Hey man, I do what I do. My name is Dennis Spurling. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas. My mandate is to be an advocate for black men, largely because I am a black man. I'm a black father, I have black sons, and I want to make sure that the issues confronting black men are defended, protected, enunciated, spoke upon by black men who have a vested interest in the black community. And so my draw to the black manosphere, or YouTube in general, to use my voice, my wisdom, my experience, was solely because black men weren't being heard. But they're hearing us now. They're hearing us as to our issues related to modern relationships, politics, education, finance, and so many other things. And I'm extremely proud of these gentlemen. I'm extremely proud of the people who put this together. It is a wonderful event, and I look forward to attending in the years to come. Hey man, I do what I do. Nevertheless, I'm really good at what I do. As I said, it is my day job. And so my telephone number is running across the bottom of the screen. If you've been involved in an accident, if you're injured, if your family members been injured, feel free to contact me at 1-713-229-0770 for a free consultation. That is 713-229-0770. Ask for Mr. Spurling, and you might just get me on the line if you got a good case. And if you got a bad case, I'm probably gonna send you a little letter to say we don't want it. Nevertheless, you have plenty of options. But that being the case, man, you guys make sure that you consider me, and I'm not begging you for anything. I'm really good at what I do as an attorney, and I enjoy what I do, and I enjoy helping people. I love fighting the good fight, and I've been doing it for a quarter century, and I'd appreciate it if you all would patronize my business. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the broadcast. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, man. Y'all hit the #1 button as you come in. I want to give a big acknowledgement to everybody who is here today. My name is Dennis Spurling, and as you all know, I'm also known as Uncle D, the Blizzard King. I want to thank everybody for coming through tonight. Look, fam, there's a lot going on in the world, and let's talk plain. Okay, with the events today, with the election of Donald Trump, America has revealed itself. Now, whether you personally think he's a racist, that doesn't even matter. Whether you think that he is the reason of this hyper volatile environment that we are living in right now, where online personalities are being unalived, whether they be conservative or otherwise, that's irrelevant, because a lot of people who have some divergent views and may share hostility towards you because you are a black person, and I'm not going to say people in color, but generally people in color in general, basically they saw his victory as a green light to let it all hang out. Okay, it's given them the green light to be louder and bolder and even openly hostile to their political opponents. Okay? Now, don't take my word for it. The FBI documented a sharp rise in hate crimes after the 2016 Charlottesville situation. Okay? And we watch men, well, actually, I would say in 2016 is when the report came out. And it was in Charlottesville in 2017 where you had a bunch of men with tiki torches talking about who would and would not replace them. They were walking around with Confederate flags, you know, and, you know, whether you agree or not, January 6th was something like an insurrection. And so all of that wasn't a coincidence. That was empowerment. And in this climate, in a country that is openly hostile and has a history of being openly hostile to Black Americans or Black people in general, we can't afford to be at war with each other. Okay? Let me make that crystal clear. Black men and Black women must come together because our very survival and the survival of our children and our relatives depends on it. Tonight, I'm going to break this all the way down. First, we'll look at history and how unity was always been our lifeline. From slavery to Jim Crow to the civil rights movement, we only advanced when we stood together. Second, we'll expose how division gets weaponized against us, whether we're talking about COINTELPRO to the crack era to today's social media algorithm that has been used to divide and conquer. And it's always been the playbook. The third thing is we'll show what happens when we unite versus when we divide. Whether we're talking about Tulsa, Harlem, the civil rights movement, unity created strength. Division left us with broken homes. It left us with poverty and exploitation. Look, finally, I'm going to give you all what I perceive as a call to action, okay? And why the gender war must end, and it's got to end right now. Not tomorrow, not next year, right now, because we can't survive this winter, okay? This climate of hostility if we keep fighting each other, okay? So let's go ahead and get into it. First thing, history teaches us, and again, I want to say this, and I've probably said this before, if you learn something, I should earn something, okay? If you learn something, I should earn something. If you don't learn anything, shouldn't pay me anything. I need to do better. I need to work harder. But if you learn something that you didn't know, if I help you see something you didn't see, then, I should earn something. Now, that said, if you can't, I understand. But the bottom line is I know you can, and you will because you have. And I appreciate all the support from all the people. The Cash App is rolling across the bottom of the screen. And now we're going to go ahead and get into it. Look, here's the thing. Lessons over and over and over again, whether we're talking about slavery when they sold our fathers and our mothers away. Our families still found ways to cling together. After the Civil War ended, we were literally marching and walking around the southern United States trying to find our lost family members, okay? And during this time period and through Jim Crow, we built schools, churches, we built colleges for ourselves, and many of those colleges still exist, over 100 HBCUs. We had businesses, we had towns, whether we're talking about Bronzeville, whether we're talking about Tulsa, Oklahoma, because we knew no one else was going to do it for us. Even during what we call the civil rights movement, men and women stood side by side. Rosa Parks did Move. Ella Baker organized. Fannie Lou Hamer shouted for freedom. And men like Dr. King and Malcolm X and the Honorable Thurgood Marshall put their work in, okay? Whether they liked each other or not, they all had a common goal. And that unity is why we survived. That unity is why we made progress. But today, too many of us are fighting each other. Too many of us are throwing jabs online. Algorithms push the gender war content because the system knows it weakens us. Family, let's be honest. The enemy doesn't even have to divide us anymore.
We're unaliving each other at all-time rate, faster than the KKK ever did. And we're fighting each other harder now than we fought some of those racist judges and sheriffs and mayors down south in during Jim Crow. We're doing their job for them. And here's the thing. Shout out to Find Ways to Win Fitzgerald Stephen. Thank you so much. Every insult, every shot fired between black men and black women gets weaponized. We all find Charleston White entertainment. When he goes online and he clowns black men and black women, mainstream America takes that and says, see, even when their own men don't respect them. And you have conservative mouthpieces, they get on TV and they say, black men are lazy or violent. And then Fox News clips it up and runs it nationwide. And the same thing goes for black women. And this is the same playbook used in the past. In the 1960s, the FBI had a program called COINTELPRO. And the program wasn't just about unaliving our leaders. They sent fake letters spreading lies to create distrust between black men and black women in our organizations. And they did that to divide and conquer. Okay, fast forward to the crack epidemic. In the 1990s, the crime bills, those policies locked up a whole generation of black men and households broke apart. And black women were left holding families together under nearly impossible conditions. And that fracture was not an accident, it was designed. And here's where we are today, with social media amplifying the same tactics in digital form. Okay, and people are getting paid to do it. But see, here's what happens when we unite. We build, just like Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Black Wall Street. They burned it down in 1919 before 20 years had gone by. We rebuilt it. And that's historical fact. Black men and black women together built one of the wealthiest black communities in history and rebuilt it. What about the Harlem Renaissance? It was our unity that created art, music, literature that challenged the world and changed the world. The Civil Rights Movement united together. We forced the United States to sign the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. But when we're divided, we have what we have now, chaos. We have broken homes. We have poverty that keeps recycling generation after generation. We get outsiders exploiting us, whether we're talking about politicians, corporations, media companies, or even a regular Jane and John, who come in and profit from our dysfunction by picking sides and pitting one against the other. And guess who pays the price? Our children do. We do. So what's the solution? It's simple. The gender war has to end, and it has to end right now, because every insult, every clapback, every viral video where we tear each other down, it doesn't just stop with the two people arguing. It becomes a weapon against all of us foundational Black American people. And we can't afford that. Not in this racially charged climate. Not in this America. And it doesn't matter to me what your politics are. You have to recognize where you are. Our ancestors endured the horrors of chattel slavery and substandard second, third class citizenship and lynchings and assassinations. And they survived because they had unity, whether they wanted to be unified or not. They locked arms and they stood together. And we owe it to them and to our children to do the same. So my message tonight is clear. Brothers and sisters, Black men and Black women, specifically foundational Black American men and women, it's time to put down the daggers. It's time to stop fighting each other and start building bonds and bridges towards unity, because that's the only way we're going to deal with this. Again, united we rise, divided we fall. And family, no one is coming to save us. So our survival depends on us standing together. Now, too many of us ignore some valuable lessons that I want you to understand. The Black community is either going to rebuild itself, and that's going to start with Black men and Black women getting together. And if not, over time, we're going to disappear. Now, here's the truth. I understand that there's been social pressure. We've had broken homes. There have been some unrealistic comparisons. A lot of sisters have developed expectations and standards that simply don't line up with reality as far as what kind of man they should have. The good brother Kevin Samuels referred to it as sexual marketplace value. But what does that really mean? Okay, he meant that everyone, man or woman, has a value in the dating market based on their age, their appearance, their resources, their reproductive ability, their compatibility. And when your expectations are wildly higher than your reality, disappointment is guaranteed. Okay, brother Kevin wasn't trying to tear Black women down. In fact, he was very defensive of Black women when you had white women who would come on and try to tear Black women down. There's been several occasions where he would shut them down. Okay, but what the brother did was hold up a mirror. He wanted Black women to keep their femininity, to keep their standards, but he also to keep them realistic, okay? Because he knew the power lies with the woman in any society, okay? Because women choose who they give their time to. They choose whose children they bring into the world. And if we are ever going to end this so-called gender war, women have to acknowledge that responsibility. This was that brother's great work. He knew what he was doing. He knew that men build and maintain and protect communities and nations and societies, but there is no community, and there is no desire to build a community or maintain a community without women who can give life, and women who these men find desirable and who these men want to protect. And right now, part of the reason we're struggling is because too many of our women are selecting men they either are not compatible with, and they are bypassing the type of men that they need to be with, what we'll call good men. Add to that the staggering baby deletion rate, okay? And we're literally shrinking our own numbers. We've been stuck at 12 to 13% of the American population for centuries. Now, if you break that down further, foundational Black Americans, those of us who can trace our roots back through slavery, even some of us who were here before slavery, we are only about 9%, okay? The rest of those percentage points of that 12 to 13% are first and second generation Black immigrants from the Caribbean and Africa. So what that means is our core community is not even replacing itself. Okay? And we can't keep going like this. Okay? And that's why Brother Kevin spent all that time talking to Black women, because men can build all day, but there are no women raising children in stable homes. There's nothing to build for. And see, that's the bottom line. There's no Black community without Black men and Black women. And men, we need them to provide and build and protect, and women to give birth and nurture and help sustain. Both contributing, both accountable, both necessary. Now, I want to share a few videos with you guys before we get too deep into this thing, man, to try to help everybody understand the environment that we're actually dealing with right now. If you guys can hear this, make sure you hit the number 1 button. Let me know that you can hear these videos as they come through. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and start playing these videos right now. And they for the most part, speak for themselves, okay? These videos pretty much are self-explanatory. Let me see if I can pull them up real quick so that we can go ahead and get this thing started. Now, I want you all to check this. This is an important video. Listen to this.
71% of our sisters are not married. 29% will never get married. 63% of our brothers are not married. 30% of them will never get married. There is no culture in the history of humankind that has risen to maximize their full human potential without family at the center of their culture. This only exists. This is an interesting but negative statistic. This phenomenon of the existential crisis of our family only exists among African American black people. It does not exist on the continent or anywhere else in the diaspora. So there must be something in the water. We must fix this. It is a lot easier said than done because it is impacting our wealth. Quick statistics. For 350 years, household median income was dominated by white people. They were number one in this country. They no longer are number one, they're number three, and there's a reason for it. So, who has the highest household median wealth in America? It's East Indians. $104,000 a year. What's the marriage rate in the East Indian culture? 94%. Two are working.
So there's a direct correlation between marriage and financial ability. Part of the reason we have so many broke folks walking around the black community is because we don't have anybody to rely on. You don't have wives. You don't have husbands. You don't have a family to fall back on. And so this is part of the reason why Brother Kevin wanted to get black folks together. Okay. So let's keep listening to the gentleman.
Who's number two? Chinese Asians. Household median income $110,000 a year. Marriage rate close to 70%. Number three are white people. Household median income $88,000 a year. What's the marriage rate? Almost 50%. Down significantly. Number four are Hispanics. Household median income $61,000 a year. Marriage rate close to 70%. We are at the bottom. Household median income $55,000 a year. Marriage rate 34%.
Did you hear that? The household income rate for Indians is almost $104,000 a year, and the household median income for black people is about $50,000 a year, $55,000 a year. Look how far they are ahead of us, because for the most part, our households are run by single folks, okay, as opposed to married folks. Let's keep listening with combined incomes.
And projected based on facts and statistics that if we do not fix this, because white folks ain't fixing this, our marriage rate will be in the low teens in the next 20 years. We must, this is an enormous challenge. That's a whole talk by itself on how do we fix it. It can be fixed, but we have to, first of all, understand that this is a problem. No one's talking about this problem. This is a huge problem. It's the number one problem in our culture. So we must fix it.
Oh, yeah. All right, ladies, and I'm talking to you. I need you to understand there's really no such thing as strong, independent, and don't need a man. And whether you have a man in your household or not, the truth is, in this society that we live in, pretty much every society around the world that has ever existed, there have always been men who maintained those infrastructures and those roads and did most of the heavy lifting. And so you saying you're strong, independent, and don't need a man is untrue, because whether you have your own personal man, whether you have a man that the federal government who tax dollars are sponsored by men, you still need a man. Okay. Now, I also want to share with you all another video that is directly addresses the pain and angst that's sisters are going through right now, specifically having to do with the rapid job loss.
Much more about this than not, but let me explain. Right now, the U.S. unemployment rate is at 4.3%. We just learned that very few jobs were added in August, about 22,000. That's not good. If you were to describe this via text, you send a red alarm emoji. Now, for black workers, the data is worse. For now, another month, the unemployment rate is going up. It's now 7.5%. That's the highest it's been since October of 2021. And it's a number we've been watching ever since it was 6.8% in June. It's 2 alarm emojis. You dig even deeper, and you'll find that black women are disproportionately struggling right now. The jobless rate for black women is at 6.7%. The last time it was that high, September of 2021, back during the pandemic. Add one more red alarm emoji. Why is this happening? Economists have told us that when we see the unemployment rate going up for black people, it's a sign that it could soon go up for all people. And as our CNN business team explains, black workers are disproportionately employed in frontline and lower wage industries as well.
Ladies, you're more vulnerable than men because men can always go out and do labor jobs. Okay. So again, we are talking about the gender war must end. And my whole point is not only must it end because of the survival of black survival in this new hostile America, it has to end. It has to end because at this particular junction, you know, you don't have anything else to fight with. The federal government, which is funded black women's rise largely, is now taking everything back. Okay. And it's not just me saying that. And I'm not picking on you ladies. I want you to understand something. This is in no way trying to get to pick on you. I'm just letting you know you have the power to choose. And we need you to choose somebody. Because if you don't choose somebody, guess what's going to happen? Then we all are going to perish. Let's listen to this next video.
They have no idea how I feel. It's just horrible. It's horrible.
Quay Crowner calls herself a career vet, having worked in federal jobs for over 3 decades. But at 55 years old, while employed by the Department of Education.
So how did you find out you were being let go?
An email.
And she's not alone. The latest jobs numbers revealing there were 319,000 fewer black women employed in July versus February.
What went through your mind when you realized that it's been many black women affected by jobs losses?
I saw the headlines, but I felt it first, and it was a conversation amongst my colleagues.
Since February, the rate of unemployment for black women rising by almost a percentage point, while the unemployment rate for everyone over 20 is staying flat and even declining for white and Hispanic women. The unemployment rate for black men also jumping.
The losses that have occurred over the first half of this year have disproportionately been borne by black women.
Valerie,
I want you all to hear that. Okay. Now, I just want you all to understand that it's not just black women going through this either. This whole, again, and I'm going to talk about this later in detail when we get into the meat of our broadcast. The first victim of white supremacy racism has been white women. And the whole point was to keep that white woman birthing babies and pregnant and powerless. Okay. White women have gone a long way to try to get out from up under white men's oppression. And that doesn't mean I'm letting white women off the hook. I'm just saying that they have gone a long way to try to get off under the oppression of white men, the same men that they raised and the primary beneficiary of this system. Now, I'm going to share this video with you. This video actually went viral a few days ago. This is this young white woman talking about how hard it is to raise children. Listen to what she's saying.
So hard. They make it so hard to be a mom. They take away all of the tender moments of motherhood that you could have had, but you were stuck in survival mode.
Oh, baby.
So you didn't even really get to enjoy it.
Now, I'm going to do my best not to speak over her because I know y'all want to hear all the videos. I have people in my comments section saying, be quiet, Uncle D. We want to hear the people on the internet. Now, you can go right over to TikTok where I went and look at this video. So I'm going to do my best to let this young lady just go on and on and on without interjecting. But of course, you know, I may be compelled to say something in response, but I'll do my best. Let's continue to listen. Y'all hit the #1 button. All right. But this is her complaining about how difficult life is raising a child in this environment. Some white man, some young white man has left, made this little ring this little nose ring, white woman with tears in her eyes, made her a single mother. Okay, so let's keep listening. Go ahead.
You're just fucking surviving.
Ma'am,
trying to raise
watch
these
it.
kids.
Ma'am, you need to watch
trying
your
to do
language.
the best you can. And you get $250 a month.
$250.
What the fuck?
Ma'am,
That is pennies.
ma'am, it's not my fault that you got $250 a month. Okay, you getting $250 a month. Have some more kids. That's what you need to do. Go back to the source and get you another kid. Then you can have $500 a month. If you have 4 kids, you have 1,000. You know, every little bit helps. But you're gonna need to watch your potty mouth. You're gonna have to watch that language, ma'am. Let's keep going.
That is the gas money it is taking me to drop them off at their father's house and pick them back up. $250 a month.
I just want you to look at the veins in her neck. I want you to look at the veins. This is angry. You are so angry right now. But go ahead, baby. Go ahead.
And my ex is a nurse.
He's a nurse.
$250 a month.
What?
Literally, I stayed in the hospital for a whole fucking week because.
Ma'am, you gotta watch your language too. Okay, I need you ladies. You're gonna come on here. This is a family-friendly broadcast. So you're angry. All these moms are crashing out because they're dealing with some tough financial times. Okay, and this is not gender. This is not racially based. All these are different color women. They're all angry, but y'all need to watch your mouth on my family-friendly broadcast, okay?
I had an overdose. I overdosed because I literally did not want to be here no more. I didn't have a post for 11 something, almost 12 minutes, because I didn't want to be here. I felt like this is
That's bad. It's honest.
Nobody talks about the amount of times as a fucking mom.
Ma'am, why is everybody with the F-bombs? Ma'am, I'm trying not to interject, but you've got to watch your language. Okay, somebody type family friendly in the chat room. Watch your language.
That you sit in the fucking car and just
Language.
cry, bro. You just fucking cry.
Why you crying, bro?
Even when you know your tears not gonna fix shit.
Bro, you did not. Uh-oh. Oh, she cries ugly. Go ahead, baby. You cry.
Like I might always have to take care of her.
I could talk to the younger me. I would tell me to wait.
Wait for what? To eat a sandwich? It look like you got a sandwich in your other hand.
Tell me to wait to have kids until I know that I either am financially stable or I'm having a team behind me that can help me, because everybody needs a community.
A husband with
and when you are alone doing this,
I don't care who say they're going to be there for you. I don't care what type of help people think they're going to give you.
American Sign Language. Baby, look, calm down. Calm down.
Get that fucking abortion.
A
lot of things. If I gave you my love,
y'all so bad. Y'all so bad.
I tell you what
y'all sad when y'all lay down in that. Y'all sad then. Oh, you know,
I'd expect a whole lot of.
I can't play that. That's gonna mess up my. I have to get that out of there because I don't want to mess up my. You know, I don't want to have to pay YouTube for using that. But you see, so it's not just one group of women dealing with it. It's all women. But again, as we know, if it's bad for white women, it's going to be real bad for black women. Okay, as Brother Malcolm X said, if the white man has a cold, the black man has pneumonia, and that goes the same for black women. Now, here's the thing. Okay. You know, nobody's gonna come save you, ladies. All right. Nobody's going to come save you. All right. And the notion that you're gonna get a rich man to come marry you, I want you to understand that. Look at this brother speak about
a black man in America make over $100,000 a year or more. So out of 49.
Only 6% of black men, that's about That's a very small number.
1.6 million. Only 2.4. Let me say it again. Only 2.4 would make over $100,000. And the amount of people that start with,
and a lot of that 2.4 million black men are married. Some are old and unavailable. Okay, and so you can't have them. Okay,
that kind of money right off the bat is few and far between, unless it's labor or labor intensive work or highly skilled, sought after work. What does that mean? I need you to lower that requirement just a little bit.
Yeah. Again, ladies, we are talking about, at this particular juncture, we are talking about the gender war, okay, and how we need to end this back and forth on the internet talking bad about each other, because there are people out there that use it against us. Now, I'm going to point out something that I've been on for a couple of days, okay? It occurs to me that a lot of this gender warring that we have going on, it popped up after 1965. Now, 1965, we were the most married group of people in America. In 1965, this country was mostly Black American and white American. There wasn't a whole lot of foreigners here. But in 1965 is when we decided to pass the immigration law and let a lot of foreigners come to this country. Before that, they weren't allowed to come here because of racial barriers. And I say all that to say that I am coming to the belief that a lot of the Black gender war that we have stems from a lot of the influence coming from a lot of foreign people who seem to be foundational Black American but are not. And here's an example of somebody who is clearly foreign, who is basically putting all Black men in the same category. I want you to listen to what she says.
Stop decentering men and start centering your hatred for them. Every morning when you wake up.
Stop decentering men and start centering your hatred. Okay, listen to this. This is not a foundational Black American woman. This is a Black woman from a either Caribbean or African country. Listen.
I want you to think, how can I ruin a man's day? How can I?
What men is she talking about? What men? You think she's talking about Hispanic men? Is she, when she says ruin the man's day, is she talking about Asian men? Is she talking about white men, Arab men? Or is she talking about Black men? Okay, listen to what this woman is saying.
Gaslight, manipulate, disadvantage a man in my life. Bonus points if they are happy, if they are financially stable, they're really at a good place in their life. How can I center my day?
Now, I want you all to remember all of those shows in the 1980s and 90s when, you know, they would have Black men and Black women on those television shows. And there was never any pronouncement as to whether or not they were from Guyana or Jamaica or Trinidad or one of the African countries. They just basically fell under the umbrella of Black. And at that time, you know, we were, you know, we all one people. But I wonder if we would begin to take a head count and begin to ask questions, how many of these people who appeared on these talk shows that helped change the narrative from I'm Black and I'm proud and Black empowerment to, you know, Black men and Black women don't get along? How many? Okay, so just keep that in mind as we finish listening to this.
To derail that man from his goals and his dreams and going to bed with a smile on his face. This message isn't for everyone.
Yeah. So I just want you all to keep that in mind. And there are also some Black women out there who think that, you know, and Black men too, you think you have options. You can just go get you another man if it doesn't work out with a Black man. And now, again, I tell brothers, and I even tell my own sons, my preference for them is to date and marry women of African descent, whether they be foundational Black American, a Caribbean Black, Latino, black or Afro-Latino, or black women from the motherland, because, you know, I think it is a better fit, irrespective of the differences that we have. You see, I don't think it's unfair. I don't think it's I think it's a wise decision to marry women of African descent, and that's what I say. Now, unfortunately, there are a lot of people who think that they could just step up and go get themselves white man or whatever. You know, it's a lot of that going on the internet. And I want you to listen to what this sister has to say. Listen to what she has to say.
White guys scare me. They scare me real bad. They scare me real bad because I'm a black girl on the internet and I see what white boys leave in my comments. And you, as a black American woman, only date that type. What color is your collar and leash?
It's always a pro-black bitch that's fucking a white man. Like, what are you doing?
Use the language.
The fuck?
Use the language.
You sitting up there laying down with the slave master bitch?
Ooh,
I have dated white men, okay? And what I hate hearing black women say is, oh, black men ain't shit. Black men are this, black men are that. I'm gonna go and get me a white man. That's gonna solve all my problems. No, it's not. Just because someone is white does not mean that they're this knight in shining armor that's gonna come and pay your bills and solve and sweep you off your feet. So stop acting like your dreams are gonna come true. Stop putting white men on a pedestal and stop simping over these white men that are benefiting off of your desperate need to be like accepted by white men.
Black women.
Look, ladies, I want you to take for this, and I'm talking to my sisters. Take from this that even your own sisters are telling you something that we've all known. Your best option is a good black man. Okay, that's what I'm telling you. Whether you're Afro-Latina, whether you're black, American, African American, from Africa, whatever, your best option is a black man, in my opinion. And that's what I tell my sons, and that's what I tell all the brothers who will follow me on my page. Now, the truth is, if you find a woman that is good to you and who's submissive and who is fit, and then just go with it. You understand? Just go with it. Okay? I'm not gonna hold you back from your happiness, but my preference is for you all to get black women or women of African descent. That's my preference. But let's go ahead and keep listening. And I think that's a wise decision and a pronouncement from somebody in my position. Okay, now we are not perfect, but there's a whole nother set of problems that goes with dating out of the race, especially when you consider that your children, your offspring, will be raised in that environment that non-black mate comes from, and there's a whole set of racial issues that biracial children grow up with, having to deal with their in-laws. But let's continue to listen. Hit the #1 button if you can hear me. Thank you all so much. Let's keep going.
Be running to date a white man, thinking that they so much better and they'll treat you better and they'll do this better. That man told her, you are pretty for a black girl. Them be the man that y'all be running to? Them be the ones that treat you better? Them?
So this is my boyfriend of 2 years, and this is his fucking side hoe.
Oh,
ouch.
Okay. All right. That was interesting. So, you know, there's that. And I got another video I want to share with you guys. This other sister, let me see if I can pull this up. This other sister had a lot to say. Check this out.
Ali stated that the reason why black men are perceived the way they're perceived or treated the way they're treated is because black women are the only race of women who literally will sit and talk about black men. You don't hear the Chinese women talking about Chinese men and the shit they do wrong. You don't hear Hispanic women talking about Hispanic men. You don't hear Arab women talking about Arab men. And you definitely really ever see white women talking about white men. All these other races of women will...
Now, I'm going to disagree with that. And I have some video footage I'd like to share with you all, but let's go ahead.
Literally do anything they can to protect their race of men, except for black women. And I just don't fucking understand why. Black women grew up hating their black fathers, and that's the fucking reason why they hate black men. I feel bad for you black women who are raising black sons. Shit, even black daughters, because y'all teaching them the wrong shit. Black women are our own enemy.
I want y'all to listen to that. This woman said,
But can we talk about the PDF files that we have in our own families? Our uncles.
So this is obviously a Hispanic woman, and she is on TikTok talking about Hispanic men. And hear what she has to say.
Our dads. The one Theo that hugs you a little too hard. The one Theo that puts his hand a little too low. Because yeah, we have Dio Mexicans, but we also have PDFs. Like,
now she's talking about Hispanic men and the problem that they have with, we'll call sexual perversion. And we'll call it in the family sexual perversion. That's what this lady, that's what she means by PDF. Okay, and I'm using this for the point to demonstrate that other women they also talk about their own men. Let's continue to let this listen, okay?
Like no other. And you know what happens when we try to tell people about those PDFs? PDF files? They get defended. The women stand 10 toes down. The moms, the grandmas, the aunts, all of them. They stand 10 toes down with them.
Not only is she complaining about Hispanic men, she's also complaining about the women that protect those Hispanic men in those families, even when they're doing something that we know is both illegal and wrong. Let's keep listening.
It was your fault. You did it. You shouldn't have been wearing that. You're lying. That's not true. And then the young girls, the cousins, the sisters end up talking and finding out later, years down the line, that they went through the same torture. They went through the same trauma. Talk about that. Expose that.
You know, it's not necessarily that, they don't talk about their men. It's just perhaps we are not there to listen to them when they're talking about their men. And in fact, they have a lot of the same issues that we have, but these folks seem not to be going through a gender war. Listen to this.
This stuff about the immigrants, and if there's one thing I fucking regret in this life was not marrying my ex to fix some papers.
The one thing I regret in my life is not marrying my ex to get the papers or fix the papers. Now, I want you to understand that she is sitting next to her current boyfriend in her current boyfriend's car, and he has something to say about that. Listen to this.
Pobrecito, ahorita de estar pinche con miedo que no puede ni salir a trabajar. That's fucked up, dude. If you have a couple...
Fuck you and your fucking ex. Regardless if you would have fucking fixed papers to him, se le iban a llevar a la verga.
You're scaring me.
I don't give a fuck. Be scared. Because they're going to fucking take our asses too. Because we're fucking Hispanic. Just because we're Hispanic, yeah, they're going to take us to Mexico.
Well, these are the issues that they are having right now. As you see, they're going back and forth. We don't need to continue forth with that. But as you see, a lot of folk have some, and they're not arguing about high value men and dusty men and what they're literally arguing about their livelihood and how they're going to survive in a society that is openly targeting his folks to uproot them, take their money, and send them back to their countries of origin. So they have some serious problems, but yet and still, they don't have what is called this gender war that we have going on. Okay, so you know, so let's.
They scare me real bad. They scare me real bad because I'm a black girl on the internet and I see what white boys do.
Now I want you to listen to this other sister right here, and I believe this is more online of there's nobody else coming to save you. And as I said before, the best match for you as a black woman.
They scare me real bad. They scare me real bad because I'm a black girl on the internet and I see what white boys leave in my comments. And you, as a black American woman, only date that type. What color is your collar and leash?
It's always a.
Yeah, I think I put that one up already. Okay, but the bottom line is, and this also goes for Afro Latinos, for you black women who are of Latin descent or whatever you biracial or whatever. I want you to understand something. This is the realest video that you'll hear related to what white men really think.
Or whatever. To me, you're a nigger.
Fair you.
Watch your mouth.
Ooh, fair you. Now, this is a Latina woman, okay? This is a Caribbean, Cuban. This is what they really think.
I find that offensive, and I don't think you need to go that.
It meant to be offensive, ma'am. He meant to offend you by calling you the N-word, and she's a whole Latina, okay?
First off,
in her mind.
or whatever.
He gonna hit him with the hard ER.
That's it to me.
I find that offensive, and I don't think you need to go that.
He don't care. Okay, I just need y'all to understand that. So this is what we're dealing with, family. All right, this is that racially charged environment. It's not just gonna be you running off to get saved by a white man. They are not. They're not in that moment right now. Okay, and you know the truth is really not so much better when we're dealing with our own African brothers and sisters. I want you to check this video out from a
that were African, Nigerian, Kenyan, Zimbabwe, and the professor one time called one of them black, and they almost lost their shit. They're like, I'm not black.
Really?
100%. They treated it like if it was a dirty word, like them being called black was a dirty word. I'm not black. I'm from Nigeria. I'm not black. Like offended, and I was sat there and I'm like, what the fuck?
So where else do we have to go other than unity, huh? I just need y'all to understand that. Where else do we have to go, foundational Black Americans, other than unifying amongst ourselves?
What is going
She's
on?
fucking crashing out over this, and then it dawned on me: Africans, even they are racist against black people in America.
Just like how there's colorism in Mexico.
Isn't
I
that
just
fucking
posted.
crazy?
And for you all who think, oh well, you know, they're just the ones over here are racist. Check this out.
Wake-up calls can be when they come from the motherland. Mommy! It just makes it that much nastier. Check this out.
My experience became more of an experience of prejudice and discrimination.
This is brothers and sisters who've gone to the motherland. I want y'all to hear that. Keep listening.
I know you're probably like, how? And it's like I went from one experience of prejudice and discrimination to another.
So how are we home if we got to pay y'all? Why aren't the visas free? If this is home, why don't you make this visa free for us? If this is home, why do we have to pay to be a resident? If this is home, why isn't our citizenship automatically given to us?
Oh, so what they be thinking is that they gonna get the same red carpet treatment over there as we give our immigrants here. Newsflash! That's not really normal outside of the United States or other European countries. Therefore, you're gonna get your ninja wake-up call. Why do you think the Prince of Pan-Africanism himself, who has citizenship in Ghana, hasn't up and left? And he's here in the United States panhandling with his beard grown out to his chest with bits of in it and shit.
So, you know, where else do we have to go? Okay, other than dealing with each other.
How much are you supposed to be charging for a piece of?
I'm just saying that. Where else do we have to go? Do we really have other options? Okay, white men have expressed racist statements. You got you can't really go to them. Hispanics are known as being openly anti-black. So largely, all we have is each other. And in this particular time period, there's really nowhere else to pivot. Now, again, we are dealing with a different economy. And the reason that I'm talking to Black women is because I need you to understand that we are not in a time period where you have much room for play. Winter is here. And if you don't believe winter is here, you haven't been outside. That young man, 31-year-old Charlie Kirk, was unalive today in a field full of thousands. That's going to create some issues, okay? And the backlash is going to reverberate throughout the United States. The young woman who was unalived in North Carolina by the man on the public transit, the bus, who stabbed her in the neck. That's going to create a hostile racial environment. The incident that happened a few months back this summer, where the young Black boy was at the track meet and he unalived one of those white twin boys, that has created a racial climate. Now you couple that with the fact that we are also dealing with financial issues, and the federal government has cut back on the aid that they are providing. Okay, what does that tell you? It tells you it should tell you you don't have any room to play. On top of that, there's not going to be jobs. And ladies, you might not be able to go to the strip club and sell that thing. Let me show you why we are in a tough spot. Listen to this.
As I'm sitting here on the phone, I had a phone call, a business meeting. I was on the phone for like 20, 30 minutes. So I'm sitting here watching these Uber cars.
Look at that, Uber car.
These driverless Uber cars. Now I sat right here and watched 10 of these cars come and go. They fill them up and they leave. Now I'm sitting here watching these taxi drivers. All three of them are sitting there for at least 30 minutes with nobody. People, get your skill. Life as we know it today is over. Look, he's standing outside. He wondering what the hell is going on. He can't even get a.
So basically what I'm telling you, the low-wage jobs, the low-skilled jobs that used to be available, the jobs that require repetition, they're going to be taken over. I contacted Allstate, a lawyer who's working on the case. They have literally farmed out their secretary and paralegal work to some people in India. Okay, I didn't even learn that till today. I keep all my folks that work in my office are HBCU graduates. Shout out to the people that work in my office. I try to utilize that talent pool, but all these other businesses are utilizing folks overseas. And if it's not overseas, then, they're using artificial intelligence, even for your deliveries. Those of you all who are doing Instacart and driving Uber, this is your replacement, okay? Listen to this.
Ride. But I've seen at least 10 of these things fill up with people and leave. So I'm wondering what the hell is going on. People have a job. How you doing, brother? You all right? So I'm sitting here watching these things fill up.
Yeah.
How you feel about that?
Very scary.
It's scary, huh?
It's scary, yeah.
I was just sitting watching just sitting there for 30 minutes on the phone.
Not only are you competing with Uber drivers, now you're competing with non-driving Uber drivers.
And I was telling my friend how I seen
you don't have to tip them. You don't have to give them any extra. It's autonomous, right? People are going to choose a less expensive option.
10 of these things fill up
and
leave.
Every minute comes 6 of them, they come and
You understand me? Now, here's something else that's probably going to blow you out the waters, lady. I want you to understand something. Some of you are saying, well, I'll just, go have a baby for a man and sit down. Even that, even having a baby for a man, they even trying to take that job from you ladies. Listen to this, man. Look at China. China is the
built tech that potentially lets men opt out of women and the cookie at the same time. You see what I did there? But on a serious note, it's not IVF and it's not surrogacy. Scientists are calling it an artificial womb that can carry a baby from conception to birth with a simulated umbilical cord.
An artificial womb. Ladies, now let me explain something to you. They literally, China, right, has literally invented an artificial womb that can take a human egg and a human sperm, put it together, and let that undergo gestation for 9 months to full term. Now, whatever you think about it, depending on the price, that's going to be an option for some people. Let's listen some more.
Nutrients on tap, and they're talking about releasing it for 2026 for around $14,000. It's giving
$14,000. So instead of buying you a Birkin bag, he can go get an artificial womb and get a whole baby for the same amount. I want you to think about that. This is the direction that we're heading in. At least I'm just saying, I'm just pointing it out there. This is a real invention that's happening. Okay. Shout out to Yaya's kids. Shout out to all my members. Shout out to everybody. I appreciate everybody. I'm just trying to roll through. I'm just getting warmed up. Okay. We only an hour in. We got time today. All right, but keep listening.
Generation vibes to me. But forget the shock factor. Think about this. If China cracks this, it controls the future of labor, population, and even family structures. And the business, healthcare, biotech, childcare, trillion-dollar industries completely flipped on their head. Right now, ethical and legal debates are already underway. The system uses artificial amniotic fluid and nutrients pumped through a tube mimicking the umbilical cord. And here's where we have to pause, because this could actually be really life-changing for couples who are unable to conceive or to have children. So yes, I confess that this was me being a bit clickbaity in the title, right? But only because I think it's important that we understand what's going on in the world. And at the same time,
I mean, what's going to happen to the role of women, you know, when this thing really kicks in? I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying, all right? And there are people for $14,000, okay, you'll get that little plastic baby, okay? You can order your little baby up, okay? I'm just saying, for $14,000, if you don't mind being a single dad, you don't have to pay child support. I'm just saying there are men out there who will try that. And what does this do to the role of women?
really cannot sleep on the dystopian angle. A tool meant to fix infertility could be co-opted into cold, engineered human systems. And while this is a worst case scenario, imagine this in state hands, military labs, or even used to sideline women entirely.
Imagine if it's in the hands of single men who are now able to opt out of having children with women, and they can literally have their cake and eat it too. Okay, listen to that.
Sci-fi is really starting to look a little bit like world policy, and we know China has already been gating fertility. So this could be weaponized, not just helpful. And of course, women play so much more of an important role, but it is really worrying to think about how this may further disrupt the very blueprint of the family unit.
Well, the thing is, baby girl, I'm just going to tell you, the family unit is already disrupted. It's full of mostly single mothers here in the United States. And I know that you in Great Britain, these things possibly are different there in the UK. However, here in the jolly old United States of America, things are a lot different. We have a single mother epidemic, and therefore, henceforth, the family unit is already broken, I shall say. Nevertheless, please continue. Okay?
Here's the business lesson, right? Every time biology becomes technology, it stops being just nature and starts being an asset class. Whoever owns this tech.
Did you say arson class? It starts being an arson class. Someone type arson class in the chat room.
Won't just own the machines themselves. They'll own access to life itself. And that means power, policy, and profit.
That means more men will be able to have children without having to take the risk of having a woman take those children back from them. That's what it sounds like to me. So,
in one place. And when we zoom out and look at Africa, right now, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation are backing an 8-year.
Hold on. So how did Bill and Melinda Gates get involved in this $14,000 baby? This is 14 stacks and you too can have a baby. Well, that's what she's saying. Just a casket. A baby in a basket.
Fertility drug on the continent. Maybe these aren't as disconnected as we think. And honestly, it's starting to look a little bit like Black Mirror is catching up with The Simpsons when it comes to predictions. If I was advising on this, what would I do? I'd tell governments to regulate it before.
If I was advising on this, I would tell government that we as women do not want these free babies. We want to maintain the ability to put these men on child support whenever and hence we shall want to. Because this is how we maintain control and power of men and families in the government. You will literally taking away our leverage power that we have. Ha! This is a travesty.
It regulates us. I guess that's the most important thing. And put global frameworks in place the same way we're trying to do with AI and nuclear power. Because if one country owns the blueprint to birth, they own humanity's future.
One country is able to sell these $14,000 babies across the world, and it puts women's vaginas out of business. The last thing we want to do is a two-part series. One, There's an entry fee, and then there's an exit fee that costs 18 years of a percentage of your wages. The entry fee is often considered illegal. However, if there's a deposit made inside that orifice, also known as the human female sex organ, and then a deposit is made, then the baby then emerges at some point after the third trimester, then the man has to pay for that. And then China's now trying to take that away from a cheap price of only $14,000. This is crumbs, I tell you. Crumbs, it's blasphemy. And we must do something about it and control China. How dare they? Continue.
And if I was advising the people, I'd say don't just scroll past, demand transparency, ask who owns the patents, and let's talk in the comment section.
Basket. 2 babies in a basket. I'm sorry, you guys. I apologize, you guys. I was having a serious conversation. Okay, let's get back to our serious. Somebody type serious in the chat room. Okay, serious conversation. But either way, I mean, look at the direction that the world is headed, and however you feel about artificial birth or not. This is what we're dealing with. Again, even the price of entry, we'll call it the entry fee. Even the price of entry is fluctuating.
Are you supposed to be charging for a piece of cooter?
Welcome to Cooter Economics 101. I'll start off this class by saying the ones that are charging for it are charging way too much, and the ones that ain't are giving way too much away.
All right, brother.
It's a saturated market. It's about the most saturated market you're going to find. You can't throw a rock in a crowd without hitting 3 pieces of cheap cooter.
Yeah.
Now, if you're buying cooter individually, the going rate on average is about $43.
43? Are you kidding me? Damn it, Bubba! Hell no, I'm not paying that. $13.99 tops down at the Piggly Wiggly. And if you're going over to the damn truck stop, you can get one of those lounge lizards for anywhere from $5 to $7. You better cut it out. And they're even throwing in beef sandwiches to go along with them, French fries. Go ahead, Cooter. Let's hear it.
However, if you find a single mom that the dad ain't in the picture, then you're in it a Dollar General toy, $10 worth of gas, and a little bit of attention. If you find one that thinks her shit don't sink, you'll probably have to spend $100 to $150 on a nice meal, and you're still in there anyway, so you're good. Now, if you want to buy bulk cooter, okay, if you're buying Costco cooter,
okay, Costco,
this is how you do it.
Talk to me.
You're going to go get a 5th of Tito's. You're going to fill your boat full of gas.
All right.
Then you're going to post about it. By Saturday, you're going to have a boat full of cooter,
okay,
and then you're going to make posts about that.
Does that post need to come in the morning? Or can I go ahead and do that after 10 after I've had a couple of Bud Lights? Go ahead, talk to me.
Where marketing comes in. You're going to make those posts showing off the boat and the Tito's and the cooter getting the free Tito's.
Okay.
So now you're going to have more cooter interested in boat rides. And then you're going to have that cooter wanting to come back. And then they're also going to tell their friends. We call that advertisement cooter.
Well, hot damn.
So it's going to be a continuous cycle at that point. And all you're in it every weekend is a bottle of Tito's, some boat gas, and then you have your pick of whatever cooter you want. So that's Cooter Economics 101. I hope I've helped you today. If not, come back. We'll do 102 tomorrow.
You did a great job. Thank you so much, Bubba. I appreciate you. Nevertheless, you know, even relying on the good old fashioned, you know, selling that thing, that seems not to even be available. Even I want to share something with you. So again, ladies, and I'm talking to the ladies only because you are the decision makers, and I'm trying to help you understand what's coming. Even trying to get a free meal. Women who basically use men for food. Check this out. This is the good brother.
You need a bad female. She's so.
Y'all know this young man. This brother's name is Aaron the Plumber. Do y'all know him? Can somebody type Aaron the Plumber in the chat room? He's one of my favorites, actually, one of my former clients. Y'all check him out. He has a brilliant take on this. And this is the Young Brothers, okay? Listen to what the Young Brother has to say. Somebody type, and if y'all go tag him on his channel and tell him Uncle D said what's up.
Super sexy. Okay. You get her number. Boom. What do? First step 1. You trying to link with her. How do you go about linking with her? Where do you?
Okay. I invited him out to dinner.
Wrong. Oh, okay.
Wrong.
Wrong.
Wait, I got her number already.
Yeah, you got her number.
Like-
and you just gonna invite her out to a dinner?
Yeah, you going to dinner.
Now,
You going to dinner?
because now you're kind of leading with your money.
No. Well, I like to try new food places, though.
That's cool though. But now she's gonna have that expectation of you taking her out all the time. She hasn't earned no date with me. Just because we exchanged numbers, you know, that doesn't mean you earned a date with me. You have to earn it. I had to work hard and earn my money to pay for this date.
Okay.
So you need to earn this date with me. How does she earn the date?
Okay.
She invests her time, her energy.
I've yet to hear anything wrong with this thought process as far as where men are coming from. This is what young men are saying. And you guys know Aaron. Aaron's about 30 years old. So he's in the dating market heavy. Okay. So this is the mentality, ladies. They're not doing anything for free. As Bubba said, the cooters at an all-time low. A lot of men don't even want to have children, and we're getting to the point now they don't need women for children. So again, in your fallback plan, the government is failing you. Men are finding other ways to get around what they need from you or purchase what they need for you from cheap. So what are your other options? Let's continue listening to the brother.
I'm saying, and showing me that she really want to then I take her on a date.
Okay.
I don't just take her on a date because she looks good, because a lot of these females, they're bum skis.
Oh, Lord.
What I call the bum skis is these hungry men that have no aspirations or no intentions on getting to know you, but she knows she could get a free meal out of you. So let me just entertain this fool for a couple minutes and go get a steak. You know what I'm saying? And then she's gonna take half of the steak home to her man.
Oh, Lord.
He at the house waiting. Here, daddy, I got you some steak. I was out with my homegirl. That's
Now,
how they
I just want you fellas to understand, women who do this sort of thing, there's a class issue. And if you are a classy man and you find yourself in a woman who is on a hunger date, basically she's just going on a date with you because she's hungry, then that's probably a woman that you don't want to date anyway. I'm just going to put that out there. So anyway, let's keep listening. And this is advice that I would give my sons. If you're going out with a woman and her sole reason for going out with you is because she is hungry, she has too many issues for you to try to sort out, and you want to go ahead and leave her alone, let her go back to the environment that she came from. All right, let's do,
bro. So what I do when I exchange numbers with a female, I invite them to a place where they would probably say no, where they would probably wouldn't want to go. Like, baby, let's go, come with me to the gym. You know, it's our first time hanging out. I don't work out, so if you're really interested in me, you want to get to know me and spend some time with me, it shouldn't matter where we go. It shouldn't matter if we go, but if I tell her go to the gym, I don't have time. But if I turn around and say, hey, meet me at Ruth Chris. Okay, what time? She's gonna be there. Yeah. You feel me? It changes.
Yeah, so the brother made a good point, man. Shout out to Aaron the plumber. So again, and I want you ladies to understand the fallback plans that women have traditionally had are not necessarily there anymore. Listen to this brother. Go ahead.
We're done dating poor women, and society is starting to take notice. A lot of men have started to realize their worth and their value. We're no longer selling for building ourselves up just to find a woman who just wants us to provide for her and doesn't think about what is she going to help us fulfill within not just our own lives, but some kind of thing, to become one. Even in the Bible, it says to become one. So the reason men now we're done dating and we're done thinking about the traditional form of marriage with women, because it's no longer to become one, it's one providing for two. And that's where the disconnect has happened. And so we have so many men who've built the life for themselves. They've become accomplished. We went to the top schools. We've worked at top careers. And now we're in a dating market where women, they want you either to provide for them this celebrity, social media, pro athlete lifestyle, which isn't realistic in most individuals' lifetime. And they don't even care about just the idea of building a legacy together, principles, generational wealth isn't just built from being someone that's in the spotlight. There's also ways to do it in a modest and conservative manner, but no one thinks about that anymore. It's just me, me, me. And as men, we're done with that.
Ladies, you've heard all this before. Fellas, you've heard. Men with no kids and no marriage plans are the fastest growing demographic. And as far as women, it's women with no kids who aren't married. Okay? They said there are going to be more women who are unmarried and don't have kids by 2030, which is literally only 4 years from now, than there's ever been in this country. I want you to keep that in mind.
So, to any man who is done with struggling in this dating market and you're tired of attracting women.
Somebody type this dating market. Did you hear what he said? They're done with what? Listen to this.
They're struggling in this dating market.
This dating market, meaning there are other dating markets, ladies, okay?
And you're tired of attracting women who are just draining you and depleting you of not only your resources, but time and energy. I want you to click the link in my bio or DM me TFBA.
Now, again, brother said this dating market. Now, what I want to explain to you, ladies, and I don't want you to be offended by what I'm saying, but this is your competition right here. This is your competition.
Do everything for you, though. Clean, cook, everything for you, bro. They'll make sure everything's done for you. The bed done for you, your laundry's done, your breakfast, lunch, and dinner's done. That you're well off in the bedroom. Like, they'll make sure everything's good.
According to Dr. Umar Johnson, these women, these Latinos, these Dominican women are black. This is what Dr. Umar said. Dr. Umar said, okay, and I have the video, and if anybody has the link to the video, Dr. Umar said these are also black women, okay? These are women of African descent, okay? And I was very careful early on, and I said specifically, hey, look, I want you brothers to marry women of African descent. I didn't say get out there and get your white woman. I didn't say that to you, did I? I didn't say that. I want you to marry some women of African descent, not a woman of color, but a woman of African descent. And you tell by this woman's posture, I'm gonna say posture / derriere, she is clearly of some kind of African descent. Let's keep listening.
Everything's good. These girls will go above and beyond for you. Because that's the culture out there. The culture from the moment these girls are born all the way up until they're 18, 19, 20.
The white man on the video I played earlier called her the N-word. All right. So the white man even said she's a black woman. Let's keep listening.
Like at a dating age. You know, they were taught by their mothers and fathers to be a certain way. So you got to be like this for your man. You got to cook for your man. You got to clean the household. You got to take care of the children, take care of your family. You know, you got to dress nice. You got to learn how to do hair, learn how to do makeup, learn how to, you know, dance, learn how to seduce a man. Like they teach their girls to be so good at attracting men.
So the brother said this dating market. He didn't say all dating markets. All right. And ladies, and I'm talking to my foundational Black American sisters, and I'm talking to you from a place of love. We have to end this gender war, okay? Because Black American survival in this hostile environment depends on it. That's the whole point of this. We haven't even got to the meat of the broadcast, but I need to lay the foundation. This is what we're dealing with.
That these girls, by the time they're 18, 19, it's kind of like second nature. They already know what to do.
I don't know why they put Cardi B up there. I don't know why they did that, but we're gonna let it keep sliding.
So
that is clearly an Americanized woman. She is of this market.
The thing, guys, if you're an American man or a foreigner and you're going out to the Dominican Republic and you're meeting these girls out there, just be prepared because they're much more different from what you're used to. These girls will literally pamper you and baby you and stuff. You know what I mean? Because that's what they're used to doing. They're used to taking care of their men. So just letting you know that. FYI.
Yeah, so we heard that. The brother said this dating market, okay? The brother said this dating market. He didn't refer to all the dating markets. So what I'm saying is the high value men, as we call the men who can afford to travel, this is what they have access to. Now, as far as what's going on here in Black America, I want you to hear what this other Black woman has to say. What
Black women are crashing out on the internet again. Now they're crashing out because they're like crashing out, crying on the internet, because now they're saying that the United States government is not set up to support single moms. So they are saying, Black women are saying, and maybe some other women, and not all Black women, are saying that crying, saying that the United States government is. So let's roll it back like remember when the United States government was actually rewarding certain demographics of people to keep men out of their house? Remember? You know what I'm talking about. Y'all were getting food stamps, Medicaid, housing vouchers, and the only stipulation for eligibility was you couldn't be married and there couldn't be a black man or a man living in your house. You had to be single. And you guys were down for it. And I know this for a fact because my mom had a friend who was on welfare, the more children you had, the bigger your welfare check. You guys were good with that. You were just pumping out babies and on the government's tit. But now, because Trump is putting a kibosh on the eligibility requirements, you guys are crying, saying that the United States is not built to support single moms.
No, black women were fooled and duped into believing something that they should have never believed, and that is the American government, which has always been run by people who don't like us. But let's continue listening.
When was being a single mom a thing? And now that the government's not coming to rescue you, now it's a problem. You shouldn't be a single mom anyway. Now, there are a lot of women, hear me before.
I don't, she's a little too happy about what black women are having to deal with. And I'm not, I'm not one of those people. I don't want to see black women suffer. I'm not one of those people. I'm dealing with this from an academic standpoint, but I know I am a very compassionate person. And, seeing my people, my foundational black American people, typically all black people, but of course, as a black man in America, a foundational black American man with roots, of course I'm going to empathize and have to deal with great trauma, knowing and seeing my people suffer like that. So I don't relish in that, but let's keep listening.
Before you go in the comments that are single moms for several different reasons. My mother was a single mom. People get divorced. Shit happens all the time. People need assistance, government assistance, every once in a while, maybe not. But the goal is, can you help me? And then you work to not have to be reliant. Black women, specifically the ones crying, not all, you guys just thought that the free train was.
But black women aren't the only one, because there's a lot of white women out there. There was more white people on welfare than black women. But, at the end of the day, white women can always go back to their white man. We are the ones dealing with this gender war. Keep listening. Let's move on to the next one. She made her point.
This is going to be my fourth baby daddy. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Lord.
Yes, it's true. Okay? Got a hell of a lot of kids. I'm homeless.
Fourth baby daddy. You might be doing a little too much. Keep in mind, lady, she's sleeping in that car right there. Let's keep listening.
And I'm broke.
Kailani. And we are currently homeless.
Sweet. Oh.
Getting through it, and we're getting through it, but
You got 4 kids and she living in a car. Okay, let's keep listening.
I've been feeling like super sick and I have all the symptoms, but I don't think it's.
Now she's saying she's pregnant again. She's feeling super sick. What are you doing to catch all these babies like this? That's what I want to know.
It could be possible. So come with me to take a pregnancy test.
I'm in school. Okay, and I got 1 baby daddy.
3 kids, one
sorry
baby
ass
daddy.
baby daddy.
Going to school.
What is y'all point to keep stating
Now,
the same thing?
You say you got a sorry baby daddy. You got a sorry baby daddy. This is the second woman in a row that got a sorry baby
Everybody keeps saying the same thing. What I am gonna say is, I never got on here and begged none of y'all for help. I got on here and told y'all
Seem like you kind of begging right now. But go ahead.
I was
baby.
having problems in Houston about eviction that happened.
And you look too young to have 3 baby daddy. I know I'm supposed to stop. I promise that I wouldn't talk over these videos, and I'm doing the best I can, but some of this stuff just needs to go answered and needs to be answered live, because some people just need to be shouted down. And since they're not here in person, I'm shouting them down on their pre-recorded videos. Let's keep listening.
Last year. When did I ask y'all for help? The reason of me setting up a GoFundMe, because I'm a struggling single mother.
Yeah, baby, we know that you 3 babies and 1 baby daddy, but keep going.
This is where I get discouraged at.
Mm-hmm.
When I've waited a whole freaking week. A whole week is wasted. and y'all denied me. They denied me. They denied me. I feel like I am being taken. Bro, like, I have money just to give, right? I have money just to give. I don't even know how the fuck I'm finna feed my kids right now, bro.
Watch your language. Watch your language.
Yeah, me and my daughter stranded.
Look, let me tell y'all something. Let me tell you ladies something. Drop them kids off at their daddy's house. And if the daddy's not available, drop those kids off at their daddy's mama's house. And if the daddy's mama's not available, drop those kids off at the daddy's sister's house or auntie's house or second or third cousin, and those kids will make their way back to your baby daddy. If you cannot afford to take care of your children, drop those kids off at the baby daddy. I want you to understand something. If we want to stop men from impregnating women and running away and not taking care of their responsibility, the quickest way to do that is to make those men responsible by dropping those kids off at the baby daddy's house. This is the best advice I can give you. It's a very simple answer. And if the baby daddy is not available, drop those kids off at his mama's house, because she is the one that raised him. Let me say that again. Can you imagine how quickly the single mother rate would drop if women began to take those children that men inserted inside of them for whatever reason and dropped them out? Can you imagine when the word got around, man, there's a new law on the books that said all the woman has to do is drop the kid off at the baby's daddy's house and you are automatically responsible. That means he cannot go shoot pool with his friends. He can't go hang out with the fellas after work and have a beer. He's got to go pick up the kids at the babysitter, because if you're not there at exactly 6 o'clock, for every minute that you're late, they charge you $50. You see what I'm saying? For those of us who've rushed out of our jobs and rushed down to the babysitter and the aftercare, we trying to beat that time. Drop those kids off at the baby daddy's house, and you will end the problem that we have now. Now, you will lose the power. You might not get the child support, but you will be 3 kids free, 1 child free, and you can bounce back. Take the kids to the father's house. Make him be responsible for them. And then you just disappear. Okay? I mean, it is what he disappeared. Why don't you disappear? Make him become the responsible parent. And then, number one, men will develop a whole nother respect for what women have to do, and they'll be in the cars crying instead of the women. Because I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just that's the quickest answer, ladies. All right. If I had a daughter and her baby daddy left her hanging, I said, go take him to the daddy. Said, go take him to the baby daddy house, and I'm gonna get you a ticket to go to whatever country you want to go to, because they can't bring them here. That's the other parent. And we would end this problem that we have real quick. But let's go ahead and let these ladies finish talking.
We got to find somewhere to go by 11 o'clock. Find somewhere to go by 11 o'clock. Now we're going to be walking the streets in case you will.
Yeah. This is day 5 of being homeless with my children. And as you can see, I had left my aunt's house. I was frustrated. So I'm crying because I was on the way to my kids' grandma's house, knowing that she don't want us there.
It's just like, I'm not the type of person that feels sorry for myself.
All right, so y'all get the point, right? A lot of women who have some men that have dropped, and look, man, a lot of women get pregnant for a lot of different reasons, but the main reason is because this is the type of person they attract, because that's the type of person they are. Listen to what this brother has to say.
You may find a spouse with those bad habits. If you smoke, drink, gamble, and trick, you find a spouse that fits that energy. So when you try to change your energy, you run into if you have bad habits, you may find a spouse with those bad habits. If you smoke, drink, gamble, and trick, you find a spouse that fits that energy. So when you try to change your energy, you run into a problem with your spouse. You may have to change your spouse because you are no longer smoking, drinking,
gambling and tricking. If they are not willing to pick up some of your good habits that you are swapping out for these bad habits, then they are going to be a problem. You attract what you are and where you are. If you're doing all of that and then you meet this person and they like waking up and smoking and drinking and gambling with you, then you have to train them on the new you, which is the person that exercises, diets, educates.
So the whole point of what this brother is saying is that you attract who you are, okay? And he has a great point. So a lot of ladies, these are the type of men you choose to be with, poor decision making. It is what it is. But the bottom line is we are living in a new system now. It is a racially hostile system, number one. It is a financially trying system. And this is where we are. And in the last video I want to share with you guys is, you know, you're not going to be able to shame black men to come in and take these responsibilities. These black men are on some different stuff, okay? Now, there's a video that I found very interesting, and it's going to sound like it's the same old story, shaming black men, but it's going to take a quick turn, and then we're going to go ahead and get to the lesson. Now, I know this has been difficult for a lot of you ladies to listen to, but it's important for me to lay the foundation so you'll understand where we are, all right? Listen to what this man trying to shame black men.
Who date Caucasian women are bisexual. I meant that.
A lot of black men, this man starts off with the premise that a lot of black men who date white women, okay, are bisexual. I just want you to think about what that says. And this is just straight up shaming language, raw, uncut shaming language. And just keep listening.
Who date Caucasian women are bisexual. I meant that. Say this time and time again. Black men want to explore their sexuality. They want to be bisexual in private.
No, we don't, sir. No, we don't. But let's keep listening.
Homophobic in public, and these are the avenues in which they are allowed to do that.
And this is the worst thing about the internet. It gave slow people the avenue to have an opinion about stuff that they don't know what the hell that they're talking about. So you telling me that according to your logic, because I like women outside my race, outside my race, that makes me bisexual or gay because I want to explore my sexuality, because you're saying that these women of other races are more sexually free. They eat ass and all this other stuff you're talking about. So that's where we go to explore our sexuality, because we don't want to be shamed for sleeping with men. Are you crazy? Honestly, I miss the days when a lot of you motherfuckers were still in the closet, because we didn't have takes like this. This is insane. And the only reason that you're able to get out here and have this mush mouth opinion is because there are so many dumbass women that get in your comment section and back up that negative nonsense. A straight man that's dating women outside his race does not mean that he's interested in other men. Are y'all okay? Are y'all really okay? This is why a lot of people think that y'all are slow or dumb, or people that come from where we come from, that come from our background, are stupid, because it's only our people that get on here with these dumbass fucking takes, and then we let sissies speak for our community. Why are y'all listening to this man, women? Is this the type of man that y'all want? Y'all get on here and y'all act like y'all lost a loved one when you found out that your man is DL, but this is clearly a DL man. Or was a DL man, because I hear he has kids or whatever, but then he want to get on here and speak on straight men because he had issues with his sexuality. Get the fuck out of here. This app is all about projecting, and all this dude doing is getting on here and projecting his sexual perversions on the entire black population, the entire black man race, and it's not right. It's not like we don't get kicked when we're down enough by everybody else, but we get on here, we get our women, and we get these sissies constantly keeping our names in their mouth.
Now, there was a time when black men would just shut up and take this sort of tongue lash. We wouldn't even say anything. But that is a different time. Black men are verbal and they're vocal, and you're not going to be able to shame them into coming back and picking up, you know, the leftovers, you know, and taking responsibility for the decisions and the poor decisions that other people have made. So and that's just not just in romantic relationships. A lot of black men have separated themselves from their extended families, their mothers, their fathers, whomever, because they're just not, this is the generation that we're dealing with, okay?
Because they're jealous, because we don't want them. We don't want you niggas, bro.
Get that through your motherfucking head. If I date a Latina or a white woman, that does not mean that I want a man. Grow the fuck up.
Strong language. But anyway, so you guys get the point. You see where we're coming from. The topic that we're discussing today, and I lay all that out because I want to explain to you this is the environment that we're living in. We're living in an openly hostile racial environment. We have financial disparities. They're doing away with HUD, and I didn't play that video. You're not going to be able to run to other ethnicities, ladies. You're not going to be able to run to white men. You're not going to be able to run to Hispanic men. You're not going to be able to even go to places like Africa because they have anti-foundational Black American sentiments. Okay. And so I want to be clear. There's no misunderstanding. This so-called gender war, it has to end. Now, it didn't begin with Black people. It actually started with white folks, but it has to end because we don't have any leverage to move. All your leverage has been taken away from you, ladies. Okay. Now, look, and just to go back to where this all started, don't even take my word for the fact, shout out to Johnny Harris, don't even take what I'm saying. You know, when I talk about the gender war is not just something that is here in the Black community, it's in the white community, it's in the Asian community, it's in the Latino community. If you go to look in the white community specifically, they have this movement called men going their own way, right? This entire subculture of white men who have given up on white women. You know, the whole red pill forums, the endless battle of the sexist content, and the complaints about alimony and divorce court and feminism and how it's gone too far. All of this was born in white households, not Black ones. And if you've spent any time on YouTube or social media, you can hear it in their own words. White men are furious with white women. White women are furious with white men. And that's their civil war, not ours. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? Black women have real grievances. Black men have real grievances. You know, we've both had to fight for respect. We've had to fight for dignity. We've had to fight for opportunity. But here's the truth. Our situation has never been identical to white people. Black women, your situation has never been identical to white women. White women were battling white men who control the levers of political, economic, and institutional power. But Black men, for the 500 some odd years, right, that Europeans have been here and we've been here, we've never had that kind of power over our women. We've been locked out of the system. You know, we've been chained, we've been segregated, we've been marginalized right alongside our sisters. What happened instead is this, okay? And this is how we got involved. White feminists convinced Black women that their fight was the same as the white woman's fight. And that they sold them a false sisterhood. And in doing so, they used Black women as their angry avatars, as stand-ins, right? And they channeled their frustration with white men into our community. And we've been paying the price ever since. That's not solidarity. That's exploitation. It is emotional manipulation dressed up as feminism and sisterhood. It's a false friendship that has turned Black men and women against each other, even though our survival has always depended on us working together. And see, brothers and sisters, it's time we cut the cord. We cannot keep letting somebody else's war spill over into our communities and our homes. This gender war is theirs, not ours. And the sooner we recognize that, the sooner we can end it in our community and get back to building what we need to survive. Now, again, I want to step back and give you some background because too many people think this so-called gender war is something new. And the truth is, you know, you all think it started on social media. You think it started on YouTube. You think it started with folks like Andrew Tate blowing up on TikTok, telling men to get rich and get strong and dominate women. But that's not it. It's much older than YouTube. This is centuries in the making. This is a fight over what men and women should be, and has been going on for 500 years. I'm going to take you back to 1531. Okay, there was a man. His name was Sir Thomas Elyot. That's Elyot. He was a diplomat in England. He wrote down in his book exactly how men and women were supposed to behave. To him, a man in his natural perfection, and that was his words, was supposed to be fierce, hardy, proud, and always seeking glory, always chasing knowledge, and always driven to reproduce himself through children. Women, on the other hand, were supposed to be mild and timid, obedient and shy and full of shame. Now, does that sound familiar? It should, because see, that's the same playbook you hear today from so-called traditionalists. It's the same things people like Andrew Tate say when he tells men that their worth is tied to their money and their muscles and their ability to control a submissive woman. Only difference is Elyot wrote it with a feather pen and ink, while people like Andrew Tate does it with webcam and a Bugatti in the background. Same message, same hierarchy. And the fight didn't stop there. It moved forward into the 1600s. And the Puritans in England were absolutely terrified about gender roles being disrupted. They believed that the theater, basically the plays, the movies, okay, the movies made as theater, was corrupting the soul. And they were especially disturbed by the fact that men would play women in women's roles on stage. A lawyer named William Prynne wrote a book in 1633 called The Histrio Mestrix, where he condemned actors and actresses and even the audience, okay? He called actresses notorious whores. He said men who played women were encouraging sodomy. He called theater goers adulterers and drunkards and cheaters and godless people. Can you imagine what he would say if we dropped him off at a Madeira play? Can you imagine, right? Okay, and I know you all are learning something. Remember our agreement. If you learn something, I should earn something. But let me go and get back to what I'm doing, because we only have 14 super chats. Make sure we get the likes up. We don't have a whole lot of people in here because I started late, because there was a lot going on the algorithm. And I wanted to kind of let that clear out so we can get to our lesson, because I understand what's going on in the world. I understand the young man, Charlie Kirk, was unalive today. But we have to maintain and deal with our Black business right now. This is important for us to keep working. We are out here in the woods. We've done our work on the plantation for the day. We are out here in the woods back behind on the plantation, and we got our own thing going on. We need to constantly be building. So I will deal with that another time. But as it is right now, we need to talk about our business. And this is more important for me than dealing with all of that. Okay, now let me get back to what I was talking about. What was going on with the Puritans is that at that time in 1633, they feared what would happen if men and women stepped outside of their assigned boxes. Okay, they saw it as dangerous. They saw it as threatening to their entire social order. And here's what's fascinating. Even back then, the gender war wasn't just top down. People in society were debating it too. High society. In 1620, you had two pamphlets circulating, one called Hick Mulier, shout out to Johnny Harris, or The Man and the Woman, okay? And another one was called The Womanish Man. And these pamphlets were basically debates over masculine women and feminine men. Exactly the same arguments you see today on Twitter threads and YouTube comments. Folks arguing over who's too masculine and who's too feminine. We hear that all the time in the Black community. You Black women are too masculine. Isn't this something? This is back in England, and they were talking about masculine white women. Okay, so this is not new. It's not new to us, but we are not a people that we can't afford it. Okay, so family, that was their version of the gender war podcast, okay, printed on paper and passed around London. And the same fight It's happening here. It's just a different century and a different location. Even the plays at the time reflect this obsession. There's a play, John Fletcher, Love's Cure, is a boy raised as a girl, and when he finally reclaims his masculinity, it's only validated once he learns to fight and gets married. In Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, you have characters that cross-dress and explore gender, but by the end, everything is wrapped up neatly with heterosexual marriages. The message was clear. You can play around with gender roles, but at the end, you better fall back in line, because that's what we need you to do. Now let's fast forward to today. What do we see? We see two camps fighting it out. One on one side, the conservatives, the tradcons, they say men must dominate, they must be providers, and women must be submissive caretakers. On the other side, you have activists who argue that male and female doesn't exist, right? Sex is just a spectrum, you know what I'm saying? And gender is fluid and biology is irrelevant. Hell with the science, right? You see? And that is extreme, okay? That is extreme. And the more radical one side gets, the louder the other side becomes, okay? So when you hear the so-called gender debates online, remember, they're not new. They've been here for centuries. The only difference is the technology. The real question is, are we going to keep repeating these same cycles? Or are we going to learn from history and break them? Now, the thing is, family, let's make this plain, okay? The so-called gender war, this battle of the sexes, is nothing to do with Black people. It didn't start with us. It didn't grow out of our culture organically. It does not reflect our traditions. This whole thing started in Europe back in the 15 and the 1600s among white folks who were living in societies where life had become easier, where wealth and empire were starting to accumulate. They had been traveling around the world exploiting people, and they are now living in luxuries, and they sitting around debating the roles of men and women. They had the luxury to do that. See, in Africa, our ancestors didn't have these same problems. For the most part, African societies were egalitarian. Men and women had different responsibilities, but both were vital and respected. Farming, trading, childbearing, even leadership were often shared responsibilities. There are plenty of accounts showing how women served as chiefs and spiritual leaders and rulers across the continent. Think about the Ashanti Queen mothers in Ghana who chose kings themselves and they had a say in governance. Think about Queen Nzinga of Ndongo and Matamba, who led armies against the Portuguese in their fight against slavery. That's not a society where women are silenced or reduced to being timid and shamefaced. See, here's the thing. The matrilineal traditions is something that's pervasive in Africa, okay? Whether we talk about South and Central. In communities across these matrilineal belt, we'll say, and that spans from the Congo and North Zambia and Mozambique. This system offered women greater autonomy. In Malawi also, it offered women greater autonomy and social support. For example, women have stronger outside options in cases of marital conflict because they can remain invested in them and their children. Children belong to the mother's lineage, not the father's, okay? And what that did was it strengthened the woman's economic and familial standing, and contrast that sharply with the patriarchal system where women are subsumed into their husband's lineage. Literally in the patriarchy, the woman belongs to the man. Now, for those of you all who consider yourself Native American, okay, even amongst the Native American, you see the same pattern in many tribes. When a man married, he moved into his wife's family's household. The Iroquois, for example, practiced matrilineal kinship. That means children belong to the mother's clan and women own the property, the crops, and the land. Men had authority, but they didn't own everything, and women had real power. In some nations, if a husband wasn't treating his wife right, Her family could literally put his belongings outside the longhouse and send him back to his people. See, that's the balance. That's accountability. That's the type of respect they had. Okay. So, and this is not just something that was germane to one group. Many of these Native American tribes, the Crow and the Cherokee, okay, they practice matrilineal kinship. And again, in these societies, the wife's household was the marital household. Okay. In the Cherokees, it was centered around the maternal lineage, property, leadership that followed the mama. Okay. And a patriarchal default was not assumed. And whether we're talking about the Iroquois or the Cherokee, they thoroughly, they were matrilocal, and the husband lived with his wife's clan. The children belonged to the mother's clan. The authority often rested with the woman. Okay. And similar patterns roll with the Apache and Indians. Okay. And where the extended family units formed around women's kinship. Because think about it, these are warrior tribes. You had to go with the mom. The daddy might not make it. Okay. But in Europe, it was different. And let's be clear about something else. Family, the first and most important victim of white supremacy isn't Black people. It was a white woman. And I want you to think about that. Before Europeans even set foot in Africa with slave ships, before colonization stretched across the globe, white men had already locked their own women into a system where they had no voice and no power, no inheritance, and no freedom. White women were treated as property. They were passed from fathers to husband. They were denied the right to their own land. They were denied the right to vote, denied even the right to control their own lives. And that's the foundation of the patriarchy in Europe. And that's why white women eventually started fighting white men for equality. So when we talk about the so-called gender war, we have to recognize it didn't begin with us, and we have to be able to put it in context. And okay, it began with them because they were the first ones to be crushed under their own system of domination. But here's the thing, I'm not letting white women off the hook. Because see, while white women were oppressed by the system, they were essentially keeping it alive. They gave birth to these men, they raised them, they passed down the culture that made white supremacy possible. And the only reason she is the most important victim of white supremacy is because the system needs her womb. You see, without that white woman, there's no next generation of white children to go forth into the world and uphold the very structure that subjugates everyone else. So yes, she suffered under patriarchy, but she also is the engine that kept the machine running. Okay. Think about that. All right. Now, that being the case, again, I want to contrast the egalitarian systems versus early modern European society, which was largely patriarchal. It strictly limited women's rights. Women couldn't own land independently. They couldn't inherit freely. And because of these constraints, white women began demanding rights like suffrage and property and ownership. And it became a fight for resources that white folk had accumulated, that the white man had accumulated through empire and conquest and subjugation of the darker people from around the world. Okay. Again, this was a first world problem. Feminism. You see, those rights came only when societies had moved beyond basic survival, reflecting that such gender debates emerge in environments of relative comfort and abundance. I want you to think about that. See, as it is right now, we are not in a society of comfort and abundance. Black women and Black men are dealing with a racially hostile environment called to order by the election of Donald Trump. And on top of that, we're dealing with a financially trying environment right now. Okay. So you can only have strong, independent women when there's relative comfort and abundance. That was cool after the 1960s, maybe all the way up into the early 2000s, but it's not there today. You understand me? Again, these problems emerge in societies that have already reached a certain level of comfort and luxury. Because when people are in survival mode, like we were as Black Americans fresh out of slavery, okay, like we were as Black Americans stuck in the ghettos and the enclaves designated for Blacks, okay, we were in subsistence environment where everybody has to work just to eat. And there's no space for a gender war. Everybody's contribution matters. Are you starting to see where we're going here? And I'm gonna just jump ahead because I want you to understand. The problem facing Black American men and women in the 21st century is that we have got to figure out how to manage freedom. I want you to understand that. When we were in bondage, we were forced to be together. When we were undergoing 100 years of Jim Crow, we were forced to be together. Okay, but see, now we have options and we have freedom. And now we don't have to be together. And on top of that, Black men no longer necessarily feel obligated to be stuck in this dating market. Okay? But nevertheless, let's get on back to where we were. So when we think about it, okay, this so-called battle of the sexes is really a European import. White men hoarded wealth and power, and white women rose up to claim their share of it. And that's their fight. That's not our fight. But somehow through media, through politics, through culture, we've been dragged into it. And the danger is this: while we're busy imitating their struggle, we forgot that our real struggle is survival. We forgot that our history in this country has always been about cooperation between Black men and Black women, because without that, we wouldn't even be here today. Let's dig even deeper. We've got to understand the battlefield we've been dropped onto. The so-called gender war we see today rests on three pillars and that have shaped Western society and has done so for thousands of years. That is patriarchy, misogyny, and sexism. Now, look at how men themselves have historically defined women. I'm talking about a white European Western. That's what I'm talking about, okay? You've heard the whole phrase, hell hath no fury like a woman's scorn. That came from a play written in 1697 by an Englishman named William Congreve. And think about that. An Englishman, not an African, not a Native American, not an Asian, declaring that women are creatures of uncomfortable emotion and fury. That's not a compliment. That is a projection. That was men putting their own fear and insecurity on women, labeling them as unstable and dangerous if they weren't submissive. And that wasn't new. From the dawn of the agricultural age, about 10,000 years ago, human societies in Europe and the Middle East turned patriarchal. Before that, when people lived as hunters and gatherers, men and women were much more equal. Men hunted, women gathered, but both of them were essential. But then women, through observation and skill, discovered agriculture. Women discovered agriculture. They figured out how to plant seeds, how to grow food, and how to sustain life. That invention gave women enormous power. And instead of celebrating that, men became threatened. They invented what historian Robert McElveen calls womb envy. They needed to redefine manhood as not a woman. They built entire cultures around the idea that men create life, that men plant seeds, that men are the true authors of existence. That's how patriarchy hardened into law, into religion, and into every institution. Look at the story of Adam and Eve. Written and rewritten by men, puts the blame for all of human sin on women. Eve is tempted. Eve falls. Eve drags Adam down. And from that moment forward, women are painted as the problem, the weaker vessel, the reason why suffering exists. That has been one of the most powerful tools to keep women under male control. And it still echoes in Western culture today. And over the centuries, this patriarchal system didn't just devalue women, it used violence to enforce control. witch hunts of Salem, burning grapes as a weapon of war, domestic or DV, the silences of women's voices in law, literature, and politics, all justified as natural or as God's will. It was Western men, white men, European men that wrote these rules. It was these European-built religions, whether we talking about Islam, okay, or we talking about this version of Christianity. It was white men and Asian men and generally patriarchal men that designed these institutions. And all of them reinforced by one thing, male dominance. But here's the irony. That same patriarchy was built to keep women down, has also left men broken. That system tells men they can't show weakness. They can't express emotions. They can't step outside of these rigid roles. It raises boys into men who hurt women, but also hurt themselves. Look at the self-deletion rate amongst men in Western countries. Look at all the men who drop out of school, men trapped in cycles of violence and silence. That's the flip side of that same patriarchal coin. So when we look at the gender war, we've got to understand it was a setup by the patriarchal system that has been in place for half a millennia. It's not something we as Black people created. This ain't us. But it is a war that we're now being dragged into, even though our traditions were built on balance, respect, and survival. The question is now, can we make peace? Can we recognize that this Indo-European, Indo-Asian patriarchy has failed both genders? Can we refuse to let someone else's fight dictate our future? That's the question that we have to ask ourselves. Now, are y'all learning something? I want to make sure you're learning something, okay? And I want to make sure you hit the like button. Remember, if you learn something, you let me know. Number one, by hitting the number one button, okay? And at the end of this broadcast, if you learn something, we ain't got there yet. We still got work to do, okay? But make sure you hit the number one button. Now, I've laid the background, and so I want to pivot back to us. Because while Europe was cooking up patriarchy and white women were battling white men for control of resources, Black men and Black women were fighting for something far more fundamental over here in this country, and that's survival. And so from the very beginning of our story on this land, we survived because we stood together. Whether we're talking about in the Middle Passage, in the cotton fields and tobacco fields, okay? When white supremacy stripped us of our language and our culture and our families, it was the bond between Black men and Black women that held us together. Enslaved Black women didn't have the luxury of a feminist movement. Enslaved Black men didn't have the luxury of fighting for dominance. Everybody worked, everybody endured, and survival deepened our cooperation. During slavery, our mothers and fathers resisted together. Whether we're talking about the Underground Railroad leading to escapes, to couples who plotted revolts, to families who passed down oral histories when reading was forbidden. Black women bore children into slavery not out of choice, but out of determination that we as a people would continue. Black men risked their life and limbs running and rebelling and protecting. That was unity. During Jim Crow, when lynching was terrorizing Black men and Black women, it was Black women who organized and raised money and kept the families afloat. And when segregation crushed Black opportunity, it was the Black family unit, the strong mothers and the fathers that built schools and churches and communities. All the grassroots movements. None of that was possible None of that would have been possible without both black men and black women working together hand in hand during the civil rights movement. The images we remember is Brother Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and all the other men. But behind every one of those men was a black woman like a Coretta Scott King or Ella Baker or Diane Nash or Fannie Lou Hamer. They strategized, they marched, they organized. The Montgomery bus boycott doesn't even happen without Joanne Robinson and the women who spread the word overnight. Our victories came because we stood together. So when we look at this so-called gender war, let's keep it straight. Our people never had the luxury of division. We never had the luxury of fighting over who gets what slice of pie that we stole from the other people around the world because we were too busy trying to bake the pie just to survive. Our ancestors understood that survival meant cooperation. They knew that if black men and black women didn't lock arms, there wouldn't be a future for us at all. That's why today in this hostile, racially charged America that we live in under Donald Trump, in this environment where there is a dearth of financial mobility, upward mobility, and black women are being fired to the tune of $300,000, and it's only September. The man only been in office 8 months. In this environment, unity is not optional, it's mandatory if you want to survive this winter. Every time we divide, we hand ammunition to those who want to see us fail. Every time we fight each other and make a spectacle of ourselves, the system wins. Every time we stand together, history proves we can't be stopped. So, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, let's be clear about what we're really talking about. The so-called gender war looks very different when you examine it through the lens of black life in America. What you hear online is not just generic back and forth. It's black men and black women wrestling with our realities, work, wages, courts, custody, prisons, schools, and the way the government policy shows up in the kitchen, in the bedroom, in the crib. When people say women entered the workforce in the 20th century, that's mostly true for white women. But as far as black women being in the workforce, black women were in the workforce before the Emancipation Proclamation. They were plowing fields, they were scrubbing kitchens, they were caring for other people's, white folks' children. They were serving in hospitals and classrooms while still carrying the burden of their own families. You understand? So for us, the story has never been about one gender staying home while the other is provided. There was never a soft girl era for black women. We've always had to, black women have always had to produce to survive. And we had to do it together. Whether we talk about world wars and tax policy, that's what pushed white women into paid labor. And when they discovered the freedom that came with a paycheck, they didn't want to go back to the kitchen. The government saw it as a benefit. Big business saw it as a benefit. 2 incomes, 2 tax. Children standardized through public schools and households less dependent on a single breadwinner. It was a win-win. That's no accident. These incentives shape culture, and this was engineered. Look, the second, well, let me say it like this. Under the early woman's movement was about legal personhood, okay? So under the coverture, a married woman had no legal identity. Her property belonged to her husband, and so did the kids. And if the man divorced her, she could be left penniless, childless, and powerless. And that's why the early fights for the Married Woman's Property Acts and suffrage, that's why that mattered. Okay? They clawed back a woman's right to own, to inherit, and to keep her children. Now fast forward to today. Many brothers feel the pendulum has swung too far. She keeps the house, she keeps the kids, and the sisters respond that the law had to swing because for centuries it erased women altogether. And both points can be true, okay? But what we need is balance, not backlash. Okay, now here's the other thing. This so-called, this war that's been going on inside of Black homes is fueled by systems outside of our homes. Whether we're talking about mass incarceration, the drug war, probation, traps, child support, all of that is tied to poverty and wages and the barriers faced by folks coming out and trying to get back into the world after being in the system. All of that has hollowed out Black fatherhood. And that's not excusing abandonment. It's naming the minefield. Now, what is the result? The result is you have too many mothers, and I'm focused on Black mothers raising children alone, okay? And then you have social media, a media that pours gasoline on it, pours gasoline on the fire. You got Black women out here clowning brothers because of their income or lack thereof, talking about they want a man that makes $100,000 and 6 feet tall. And then, of course, you got Black men who are clapping back at the so-called hyper-independent sisters. And guess who wins? The algorithm. Because the algorithm rewards our humiliation of each other. It's not healing. And guess who pays the price? Our children. You see? Kids thrive on structure and two steady adults. When that's not possible, okay, present disciplined parenting still matters. Boys without fathers drift. Girls without boundaries drift. Homes without respect collapse. That's not misogyny or misandry. That's reality. Okay? Now, we need to name the friction. What's the problem? Brothers here and their average income mocked. And they get publicly shamed. Oh, you don't make $100,000? You dusty. Sisters here talk about them relinquishing power. And they feel that their struggle is being dismissed. Both sides feel disrespected. Sisters say courts finally protect mothers and children. Brothers say kids get weaponized and fathers get priced out of their own homes. Both sides need due process and transparency and default parenting plans that presume shared involvement when it's safe. But the bottom line is you got too many flexing with designer shoes and club nights and vacations, while silence surrounds important things like health insurance and tutoring for the children and therapy and savings and investment and taking care of home first and taking care of children first and focusing on the future. We need to get back to specific roots, causes. Our elders taught it plain. They separate the man from the home. They separate the child from the father and the mother from support. Then sell her a cured back and they charge interest. That showed up as redlining and low-wage corridors and predatory plea bargains and court fines and unstable housing and schools that feel like pretrial for our boys. So no, we didn't choose chaos. This system engineered chaos for us. Our job now is to engineer order. So we have to begin to ask ourselves, what does peace look like in the Black community? What does a ceasefire actually look like in the Black community when it comes to this gender war? May I suggest you write a household treaty? May I suggest that you have a roles agreement, not an ideology? May I suggest you all figure out who does what, and with what resources? You got to come up with some sort of plan. How about this? How about no disrespect in public? Let's not continue to feed the algorithm with our pain. Ladies, how about you give that man access to his children without him having to go to court and beg you, whether he has a new woman or a new girlfriend or not? Now, unless there's some danger, understand that children do better with both parents. Ladies, mothers, sisters, you can't keep gatekeeping these children. And brothers, you can't ghost this woman just because you don't like her anymore. You abandoning the woman, but she's got the kids, so by default, you abandon your children too. How about we also focus on some male development structure? Not just putting them in football camp and basketball camp. How about some trades? And if you can't send them to trade school, help them, let them do some stuff around the house. I do that here with my children. We make small things. We do some carpentry work. We do painting work. We do minor electrical work. They do apprenticeships with me in my office. How about let's focus on some IT certifications for some of these folks? How about we talk about entrepreneurial ideas? How about church? How about therapy? How about hit the gym on a regular basis? There's lanes for everybody. What about female safety and dignity? You see what happened to that young girl on that bus in North Carolina? And I don't celebrate the death of anybody. I don't care. I think it's despicable people are trying to blow off the fact that this young girl was unalived. She needed the protection of a man, and that's non-negotiable, and that goes for all the women. But see, here's the thing, ladies, protection requires self-control. And our leadership requires that you listen. How about we get back into some community? How about we get the righteous pastors and the good coaches and the aunties and the uncles and the elders and the other extended family, and we stop watching from the sidelines, and we step in and we mediate, and we begin to work on de-escalating issues. How about a little mentorship? How about we start making introductions, something as small as meeting your neighbors? See, we need to pivot back to power. Because see, our grandparents and our great-grandparents and our great-great-grandparents didn't survive the lash, the chain, the lynching tree, and the firebomb and the redlining, or being on the back of the bus by winning in the comments section. They survived because black men and black women locked arms, built homes out of nothing, and pushed children through doors that didn't exist in the generation that came before them. That's the assignment. See, we are not each other's enemy. Despite what people on YouTube are saying, we're not auditioning for strangers online who could treat each other the worst. We're not going to import a European war into our black consciousness that's not going to feed our children. We are a people. We are a people with a culture. And we have work to do. And our babies are watching. And it's time to call a ceasefire and draft a treaty and build the house together. Now, the question you need to be asking yourself is who benefits and who profits from this gender war? Let me tell you something that might sting a little bit. Because, see, this whole so-called gender war is nothing, it has nothing to do with us. It's about money. It's about profit. It's about people, many of whom don't give a darn about black men or black women making careers and fortunes by keeping us divided. And I don't want you to take my word for it. I'm gonna give you an example. You've seen so many, but we could just throw out Mr. Derrick Jaxn. Here's a brother who on paper, brother had everything going on for himself. He was tall, he was handsome, he was athletic. He played ball at Tuskegee, you know, polished his words like a preacher in the pulpit, knew exactly how to market himself, sitting in a car, speaking directly into the camera, talking like he was your older brother, your homeboy, giving you real talk. And black women ate it up. Millions of followers, best-selling, self-published books, speaking tours all across the country, even one-on-one coaching calls that he charged women for. The brother became a multi-million-dollar brand simply by telling black women what they wanted to hear. Now let's pause right there, because some folks will say, well, Uncle D, wasn't some of his advice true? Yes, sure it was. Yes. He was teaching women how to avoid liars, how to spot cheaters, how to protect their hearts. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the problem was this: he didn't believe what he was saying. He was selling it. That was his business model. The gender war was the product. While he was pointing at narcissists, he was being a narcissist. While he was warning women about cheaters, he was cheating. While he was preaching black men don't cheat, he was flying women out, sneaking around, and dragging his poor wife through the mud. And when he got exposed and got caught red-handed, what did he do? He didn't repent. He didn't fall back. He doubled down and tried to sell another book about healing together. You see the hustle now? He monetized the problem on the front end, and then he monetized the fallout on the back end. That's not ministry. That's a grift. But see, the thing is, this is not about Derrick Jaxn. He's just one example. He's just the face that we all know. But the truth is, there are many like him. There are many black men and black women who figured out that as long as we as black people stay divided, as long as we keep arguing about who pays for the first date and whether or not we're going to go 50-50, and whether or not we can go to, what's it called, the Cheesecake Factory, or what percentage of bills a real man should pay in the household, there's money to be made. There's money to be made in the conflict, and the algorithm is going to feed it. Social media platforms push it. And too many of us can't stop clicking on it. Let me break this down even further. We'll call it the algorithm hustle. You got social media companies like YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. They don't care about truth or healing or black unity. They care about watch time. They care about engagement. They figured out that outrage gets more clicks than compassion. That's why we only have 250 people in here tonight. But let me be talking bad about Africans. Let me be talking bad about Latino people or how they're suffering or what they owe us or whatever. We have 1,000 people in here, easy. Nevertheless, when you see, and in this instance, we talk about black men and black women, when you see us fighting online, they feed that content back to us. The more toxic, the better. That's why you see clips from the worst podcasts, the wildest TikToks, the most disrespectful sound bites, because anger keeps you glued to the screen, fresh and fit. And then, of course, you got the pander hustle. You got Brother Derrick Jaxn. He made a fortune pandering to black women. On the flip side, you've got men in the manosphere who make their money pandering to angry, frustrated black men. They say women today are the problem. Modern women are out of control. Don't get married. Don't commit. Just go overseas. Different message, same hustle. Both sides get paid by keeping you mad at each other. And then you got the entertainment hustle. Don't underestimate how many people just enjoy the drama. Some of this alpha male podcast, they know they're saying nonsense. They don't care. Let me give you an example. I'm an alpha male, right? My 18-year-old son, he's a 4-stripe blue belt. I'm a 4-stripe blue belt. He's 18, I'm 51. I'm an alpha male. I'm stronger than him. I'm bigger than him. But got dogged. That boy's been doing jujitsu for 11 years. I just started 4 years ago. It's a whole nother fight. You can't be an alpha male in every arena forever. So you might be an alpha male in the boardroom, but on the gym mat, you are not. There might be some vying for you. Look, let me tell you, I have had enough bones cracked by my 18-year-old son, even when he was 16 and 17, to tell you that this alpha male talk is just foolishness. You need to understand that at a point you got to play your role. The other thing they'll say, women shouldn't work. Or if she's over 30, she's just washed. Because they know it's going to go viral, because they know it's going to make every woman who is close to 30 or over 30 mad. And it's the same with female women creators who mock dusty, broke, useless black men or men in general. The goal isn't truth, it's clicks. Now here's the saddest part. While we're caught up in these battles, while we're calling each other dusty, masculine, broke, unworthy, the real enemies sit back and laugh. The same system that has already tried to destroy our families during slavery, that ripped children from their mothers, that locked up black men during Jim Crow and the war on drugs and really the war on us, that flooded our communities with drugs in the 1980s so that they can fund their secret wars overseas, and that turned around and mass incarcerated us to this very day. They don't have to lift a finger because we're doing all the work for them, destroying ourselves. So let me ask you, family, are we really enemies? Or are we customers in somebody else's hustle? Because I promise you, every time we argue online about who brings more to the table, Mark Zuckerberg, those Chinese people in TikTok and YouTube are cashing checks. Every time we tear each other down, somebody's selling a book, somebody's selling a course, and somebody is selling tickets to their conference. And we got to wise up. The gender war is not our war, black folks. It was never about us. It was never about healing our family. It was about profit. And until we stop feeding it, we'll keep being the product. Now, let me stop right here for a minute. Let me set the record straight. Because what I notice is some of you all like to bunch all these people together. Some of you all like to throw a Derrick Jaxn into the same, throw a Kevin Samuels into the same category that you put Derrick Jaxn. That's what you like to do. Tell the truth. As if one size fits all. Okay? But that's just not true. And we need to talk about that. We need to have a conversation about that. Now, here's the thing you need to understand, man. I was good friends with Kevin Samuels, for you all who don't know. Some of you do, some of you don't. You know.
If you ever been to Cartier, they do a good job after.
So we appreciate you, Kevin. This is my family, yours, to you.
Thank you very much.
You've been so much to our family. You've introduced me to this beautiful woman who is soon to be my wife. But
She shot a shot.
She got that significant character.
Significant character. There's so many of these little catchphrases.
Bro. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, man. Good days, man. But anyway, so that's my disclaimer. But again, some of you all like to throw Kevin Samuels in the same category as you put somebody like Derrick Jaxn. And I'm not going to allow that. Not today. They were not the same. They weren't even close. Derrick Jaxn was pandering. He built a brand by telling women exactly what they wanted to hear, whether he believed it or not. It was flattery packaged as empowerment. And that's the same thing so many others do. And it worked. And it works for them, and it's working now. Millions of views, millions of dollars, but it was a hustle, plain and simple. Brother Kevin was doing something entirely different. He wasn't trying to create a gender war. He was trying to end one. Kevin was an image consultant, first and foremost. His audience was never dusty dudes. Let me run that back. Kevin Samuels, his audience was for high-value men, not dusty dudes or broke men looking for shortcuts. His clients were high-value men, executives, lawyers, doctors, athletes who paid him good money to help them sharpen their soft skills. I'm talking about how to dress, how to wear a suit that actually fits your frame, what cologne communicates status, how to enter a room and command respect without saying a word. He taught men how to carry themselves, how to date their level, how to present themselves as the type of man women naturally respect. He wasn't on YouTube for clout at the start. He was in private consultation, spending hours at night working with brothers who wanted to elevate. Years before he ever took a single call from a woman. Years before that Average at Best video. And that's where people get it twisted. When women eventually started calling into his show, he didn't chase them away. They called him. They wanted to know where they stood. They wanted to know how to get a high-value man. And Kevin didn't sugarcoat it. He told them the truth. The way a consultant would tell a client the truth, directly, without flattery and without pandering. If you were 42 years old and you had 3 kids and a bald spot right here in the head, and you told him that you wanted a man who was 6 feet tall with a six-pack, making 6 figures, he would say flat out, ma'am, that's not realistic. He would ask you your dress size, how much you weighed, what did he say? Your dress size, how much you weighed, whatever, all that. Not because he hated women, not because he wanted to tear anybody down, but because the math didn't lie. Let me give you the numbers. In America, there are only 1.7 million black men, or actually 2.4 million black men who make six figures annually. That's it. Out of 20 million some odd black men, that's maybe 8%. Now subtract the ones who are married, the ones who date outside the race, the ones who aren't interested in marriage at all, and suddenly you're chasing unicorns. Kevin's message was simple. If you really want a family, if you want marriage, if you want love, you have to be realistic about your value in the marketplace. And he wasn't just saying this to women. He told young men the same thing. Stop chasing fantasies. Stop blaming women and start putting the work in to become the kind of man you claim you want to be. Remember, Kevin's real blueprint was for outcomes. This is where Kevin separated himself from Derrick Jaxn and all the other people that have come up behind him. These people are selling emotions. Kevin was selling a plan. Kevin encouraged women to marry early, and he was blunt. The brother told women, our women, black women, the prime years for securing marriage, it's not in your 30s, it's definitely not in your 40s, it's in your 20s. Not because he was devaluing older women, but because he understood how men with resources chose women. He pointed out that fertility and beauty and flexibility and youth are the highest when women are younger. And if they wanted husbands, not boyfriends or forever fiancés, those were the years to be intentional. He wasn't telling women to waste their 20s finding themselves and then panic at 38. He was telling them to think about legacy while they still had options. Kevin told men that they had to invest in their presentation. He hammered home that you can't show up sloppy and expect respect. He told men, learn how to dress. Suits tailored, shoes polished, use cologne, skincare grooming, because first impressions matter. Learn how to speak, how to network, how to sit at a table with executives and not look out of place. He called these soft skills, but they made hard results. Men who followed his advice landed better jobs and they closed business deals and yes, they attracted a higher quality of woman. But the most important thing that Brother Kevin did was he pushed marriage as a community strategy. Kevin constantly reminded people, Black America, that we were in a marriage crisis. Nearly 80% of Black children are born outside of wedlock. He said, this is not just about love, it's about structure. About children growing up with fathers in a home, about wealth building, about breaking generational cycles. He wanted Black men and Black women to stop fighting each other long enough to realize the enemy wasn't each other. It was broken homes and the system that created it. One of the greatest things he did, the brother made what high value is measurable. He quantified it. He explained it for you. Kevin didn't just throw the term around. He defined it. It's a man that earns at least $10,000 a month for 5 years or more. A high value man is a man recognized by his peers as successful. A high value man has influence and a network. A high value man is useful to the group, not just himself. A high value man. He didn't say every man. He said a high value man. But he told women, if you want this top tier man, if you want this high value man, here's the reality of what he expects and what you must bring to the table. That clarity alone separated him from grifters like Derrick Jaxn and all the rest of these people who keep things vague and emotional so they can keep selling hope. All the brother did was give you some reality-based matchmaking. Kevin told our sisters with kids not to pretend it didn't matter. He told them ladies who were heavy on the calories, who are overweight, okay, not to think a real man will love me at any size, when the majority of men don't. He told men who were broke not to expect supermodel tier women. His philosophy was accept where you are, work to improve what you can, and then match realistically. That's how marriages are built. You understand me? Are y'all with me? Because see, the reason why it mattered, is times like right now. You see? And this is why I always defend Kevin against these lazy comparisons to these other people who profited from keeping this gender war going, because the more black men and women argue, the more clicks they get, the more books they sell. Kevin was trying to stop the war. He wanted us to be realistic, intentional, and strategic. He wanted more marriages. He wanted more black marriages. The man purposely kept women that are not black out of his group called the mix. The man literally had a flood of non-black women who wanted to get into the mix on Facebook, because he wanted black people, black women specifically, and black men to hook up. He wanted more black marriages. He wanted more black families. He wanted bigger and better black communities that were stable. His consultations weren't about stroking egos. They was about building outcomes. And that's the difference between selling dreams and selling reality. All these other people, all they're doing, they just part of the problem. They leave, look, they leave you entertained but empty. Brother Kevin left people uncomfortable but informed. And if you applied what Kevin taught, you didn't just get likes on Instagram, you had a shot on building a family. And that's the core difference between Kevin and these other folk like Derrick Jaxn and so many others. See, you have people like that who profited from keeping black men and black women divided because the vision kept their pockets full. Kevin wanted black men and women to come together. He wanted more marriages, more families, more legacy. He wasn't preaching fairy tales. He was giving hard truth because he knew the stakes for our people were high. And see, a lot of these critics don't understand that was his real mission, not to humiliate our sisters, but to get them married because of times like this, to get them thinking long term, to remind them that the clock is real and that children change the equation and that fantasies of Instagram lifestyles are not the same as real love and partnership. In other words, he wasn't selling a dream. He was selling reality. And that reality is family, the only thing that builds strong households and gives you this financial safety net that you need. Now, Kevin was painted in the mainstream media by a lot of so-called feminists. The way he was painted, you think he was some kind of woman-hating shock jock, a bitter black man trying to tear sisters down for sport. They called him toxic. They called him misogynistic. Some even celebrated the brother's death. But here's the thing. Those critics never listened to him in full. They clipped the most viral, most blunt 30 seconds out of a 2-hour conversation, stripped it out of context, and fed it back to the public as proof of hate. What they didn't show you was the hours he spent telling men to step their game up. What they didn't show you was him counseling couples on how to reconcile. What they didn't show you was his constant refrain. Black men and black women need each other. He said that often. Kevin's mission was never destruction, it was construction. He wanted to build marriages, not break them. He said it over and over again. If we don't start getting married again, if we don't start building nuclear families, we will not survive as a people. That was the through line of his work. Think about it. What kind of hater spends years teaching men how to dress better, groom better, earn better, communicate better so they can become better husbands? What kind of misogynist tells women that hard truth that waiting until 40 with 3 kids before you start looking for a husband will hurt your chances, not degrade them? He wasn't doing that. He was just trying to help them recalibrate their choices while there was still time. That's not hate, that's honesty. That was honesty with intent to heal. So the problem wasn't Kevin. The problem was that Kevin's honesty cut deep, and people don't like mirrors. In a culture that thrives on flattery and pandering, he told people the unvarnished truth. And instead of grappling with that truth, critics labeled it hate to shut down the conversation. And let's keep it real. Part of the pushback came because Kevin dared to say these things as a black man. If a white image consultant had said, ladies, if you want a 6-figure man, you need to manage your expectations, it would have been called pragmatic. If a white sociologist had cited marriage rates and fertility curves, it would have been called data. But when Kevin said it, country boy from Oklahoma, direct and sharp and unapologetic, it was painted as an attack on black women. And the media rolled with it. But brothers and sisters, you and I both know his heart was for the community. He wanted more children born inside of marriages. A man whose father had multiple children and he wasn't even born inside of a marriage. He tried marriage a couple times and it failed, but he still wanted marriage for us. The brother wanted to see more functional households. He wanted black men to rise up and lead, and black women to have the security of stable families. That was that brother's mission. The people who called it hate, they were either willfully blind or they were invested in keeping the chaos going in the black community, because chaos pays. Division pays. And the man stood up and said, stop fighting and start building. The brother threatened the business model of a whole lot of people. And what happened when Kevin passed away on May 20th, May 2022? You'd have thought the world had lost its mind. The man hadn't even been gone 24 hours and social media was on fire. On one hand, you had thousands of men and women, people who credited Kevin for saving their relationship, helping them get married, showing them how to stop wasting time, posting tributes and sharing testimonies. They were grateful. And they knew what the man had done for them. But then there was the other side, people throwing parties online. Women gloating that he had got what he deserved. Vivica Fox. Shout out to Martin Dupree. Folks who had never watched the full stream, never read the data he cited, never sat through his counseling calls, but felt justified in celebrating a black man's death. Let me say that again. Celebrating his death. If you look at it with clear eyes, what does that tell you? Look at it now in 2025. It tells you that Kevin was right all along. He said the gender war was ripping us apart. He said too many of us had bought into bitterness, entitlement, and unrealistic fantasies, and the proof was right there in the reaction to his passing. Instead of mourning the brother, even if you disagree with him, some people prove just how deep the resentment runs. Think about how twisted that is. A man whose central message was marriage, family, stability. A man who literally died in the presence of a woman was branded in death as a hater of women. And the ugliest part, the narrative was amplified by mainstream outlets, not just trolls on Twitter and CNN. In the New York Times and Rolling Stone came in. They didn't highlight his years of consulting men, his emphasis on building nuclear families, on the real marriages that happened because of his advice, like mine. No, they didn't do that. They cherry-picked the most viral, most controversial clips to push the story that he was somehow the enemy of Black women and the enemy of Black people. But here's the kicker. If you just look at his numbers, if you just look at who tuned in night after night, you'd see that over half his audience were women. Women called in, women listened, women asked for his perspective because deep down they knew he was dealing in reality. And many of those women thanked him later for saving them from chasing illusions. So his death became a dividing line. On one side, people who want truth, even if it stings. And on the other side, people who would rather live in denial and tear down the messenger. And this is why I say Kevin's passing proved the point. We can't survive as a people if we treat each other as enemies, Black folks. We cannot survive if a man who pushed for marriage and stability of Black folks is smeared as a villain while actual chaos agents profit from our dysfunction. His death exposed just how urgent his message was. Black men and Black women have no future apart. We either rise together or we fall together. Ladies, gentlemen, make no mistake. Winter is here. Let me say that again. And I'll say that as the Blizzard King. Winter is here. This isn't a metaphor or a poetic flourish. This is real life. A season of contradiction, of lost jobs, broken homes, rising despair, racial animosity, financial despair, a hostile system closing in on us. Winter is here. We're not only facing cultural wars on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, we're living under a racially hostile climate tested under Donald Trump before. But now it's been sharpened since his return. And in this season, it is Black women, the steady, resilient, overworked Black women of our families who are being hit first, hardest, and fastest. Look, the numbers don't lie. More than 300,000 Black women have lost their jobs between February and July 2025. That's across public and private sectors, the only major female demographic to experience such a staggering loss is Black women. Black women, unemployment rate has surged from 5.4% in January to 7.5% in August, while the national average sits about the same at 4%. These job cuts were concentrated in federal agencies where Black women are heavily represented, especially in the diversity, equity, and inclusion roles. They had whole departments that were let loose. Those positions were wiped out almost overnight by executive order. See, this isn't just about numbers and spreadsheets. This is about mothers. This is about wives. This is about caretakers. This is about professionals. Often the principal breadwinner in a black household is the woman. She's the one paying the mortgages. She's the one keeping the lights on. She's the one raising the children, sending them to college. Women who for generations held our community together, even when everything else fell apart. And now many of them are struggling. They're single mothers, they're divorced, they're unwed, and now they're being stripped of their very livelihoods that kept their families afloat. See, this is not just a labor market dip. This is a crisis. And Kevin Samuels called it, winter is here. We either rise together or we fall together. The brother, look. If the family is destabilized, we don't have anything to fall back on. We have no buffer. We have no community glue. That's exactly where we are right now. Marriage rates are at their all-time lowest in recorded history. The strong nuclear family structure that anchored black folks in the 1950s is gone. Extended kinship networks. They once helped you absorb the shock of a fracture. Man lost his job, that's all right. We can go to grandma's house. We can eat over there. The kids can go over there. But now you got literally hundreds of thousands of black women who are suddenly unemployed. We are at our weakest collective point in modern history, black folks. So what happens when the breadwinner falls? Everything else follows. Families collapse into survival mode. When stable incomes drop, survival takes over. And too often that means desperation. It means gig hustles, unsafe labor. And for some, it means sex work just to stay alive. It means living in storage facilities, living in your cars. What happens when children lose structure? Without stability at home, discipline breaks down. Boys without fathers, girls without steady mothers, kids raised in chaos. That's a pipeline for guns, gangs, and graves. See, once the family unit falters, churches weaken, neighborhoods hollow out, tradition and continuity die. And when that goes, despair spreads like wildfire. This is not an exaggeration. This is the cold reality of winter. Winter is here. And see, this is why this gender war must end. It has to end. And it must end now. See, every minute we spend throwing barbs at each other, hyper-independent black women, or strong, independent, don't need a man women, dusty, broke black men. Every time we throw these insults at each other, some variation thereof, every minute is a minute we lose in the face of a system that is crushing both black men and black women. Black women can't carry that burden alone. Black men can't rebuild without women, our women beside us. And the community can't survive if we treat each other as enemies while the real enemy smiles and cashes checks. We don't have the luxury of delusion. And now that the storm has hit, we see just how right he was. Look, man, it's time for a ceasefire. See, this is no longer about winning debates online. It's about saving our families. And you need to think about that. Whatever situation you're in, whether it's marriage, co-parenting, baby mamaism, there needs to be discipline, shared responsibilities. and stop treating each other like options and luxuries. Survival needs to be the number one strategy. Stop feeding this algorithm with contempt. Stop humiliating each other for likes. Redirect your energy toward mentoring and training and reprieve. See, this is the winter that Kevin warned us about. Not a season of snow and ice, but of broken systems, fractured homes, lost breadwinners. And if we keep fighting each other instead of standing together, we're not going to survive. There will be no Black community. We can't afford illusions anymore. Not when folks are losing jobs, not when children are drifting, not when the very concept of Black life in America is on life support. Winter is here. And the only way we come out alive is unity and standing together as a whole. Brothers and sisters, listen to me. You're not going to survive this alone. The numbers are not in our favor. The culture is not in our favor. The politics are not in our favor. And if you think you're going to outlast this storm without a family, you are delusional. Reality is, in 1960, 61% of Black adults were married. Today, barely 30%. Nearly 80% of Black children are born outside of wedlock. That's the highest rate of any racial group in America. Single-parent households, particularly single mothers raising kids alone, are the dominant structure in our community. That's not judgment, that's just math. And math doesn't care about feelings. It shows us what we've lost, the stabilizing institution of family. And understand this, family was always the foundation of Black survival. When slavery ripped us apart, we still found ways to form bonds. Marriages in quarters, surrogate aunties, fictive kin networks. During Jim Crow, it was family that kept us from breaking. Mothers holding the line, fathers protecting the home, extended kin keeping food on the table. Through the civil rights era, it was married households, two-parent stable anchors that raised the leaders who marched and organized and litigated us towards progress. Now, that structure is gone. And without it, we are vulnerable. And let me make something else very plain and clear. If you think some white man is coming to save you, if you think some white woman, you can go run off with some white woman in this racial climate and live in peace, you're not just wrong, you're delusional. Only about 4% of Black women marry outside of the race. Of that percentage who marry white men is even smaller. The highest divorce rate between racial couples is between Black men and white women. So that ain't perfect. Now, I will say this. Nearly 12% of Black men marry outside of the race. So those men have options, ladies, and that's just the reality of it. They're mobile. So the point being that the interracial marriage market is not balanced, and it's never been. Men have always been able to marry out because they're providers. And ladies, you may see these high-profile examples of Black women marrying white men on TV and whatever, but the overwhelming majority of Black women are not going to find some white husband. And even if they did, ask yourself, do you really want those white in-laws raising your children? Do you really think in a racially hostile climate that we living in right now, where you got people who die hard, right-wing racists, in this anti-immigrant, anti-black, anti-brown, anti-everything class. Do you really think that assimilating your black and brown bodies into a white family en masse, you think that's a survival strategy? Well, let me say this. History says no. See, white in-laws don't erase white supremacy. They don't erase cultural hostility. They don't replace the foundation of community that comes from black men and black women standing together. See, we survived slavery because we created family where none was allowed. We survived Jim Crow because family was the fortress around our dignity. We built wealth, churches, and businesses and movements on the back of family units that stood together even when the law was against us. And now, in this winter, when black women are losing jobs by the hundreds of thousands, when black men are being locked out of industries or locked into prisons, when they're talking about black fatigue, and our children are growing without stability, the only thing that can save us is the thing we're destroying with this gender war that ain't even ours, and that's our black family. So I got a hard question for you. So I got a question. When the storm gets worse and when the jobs are gone, because see, right now they're disappearing, but they're going to be between AI and everything else they got. Jobs are going to be gone when the bills pile up, when your children need guidance, when you contemplate whether or not you're going to be homeless or sleeping in your car. Ladies, and I'm talking to the ladies because you're the ones that do the choosing. Who are you going to be standing with? This fantasy white husband who statistically will never come, or whose family may never truly accept you, this Latino, they'll give you a baby. That Asian man will knock you up. Black women got almost 1 million babies that have been fathered by men who are not black men right now. So they'll give you a baby and you'll be sleeping in the car like the rest of those women. So are you going to be standing with these fictional men or the black man that's standing across from you? With all his flaws, he's still the one who shares your history, your struggle, and your future. And see, the answer is easy. That's the easy answer for the vast majority of women who are black. See, the only way that you're going to survive this winter is together. So it's an easy answer. Nevertheless, I have more to say, but I want to thank everybody. Shout out to Lance Jackson. Now, I want to make sure I read all the super chats. We only have 7. Let me see if we have any cash apps. If you guys appreciate what I've done, and this is an unpopular topic. I understand that this is an unpopular topic, and I know why it's unpopular. Because it's not feeding the algorithm. Khan just sat up here and told y'all for the past 3 hours that conflict feeds the algorithm. But it'd be great if we can get 10 super chats. 10 to be a win. So y'all go ahead and do that for your friend, Uncle D. Let's go ahead and get it in. 10 for the win. You guys, if you learned something, if I didn't do a good job, if you don't like what I'm saying, I'm all right with that. But I'm going to keep talking about this. Because at this point, our people need us. Our people need us. And I got some more to say. I'm not finished by a long shot. I got to give you this blistering closing statement. Okay? But I want to talk to the people who contribute to the super chat. Keep up your vital mission, counselor. Thank you so much, Mr. Fine Ways to Win Fitzgerald. Thank you so much. He was the first one to contribute to the super chat. Data CPA, appreciate what you're doing for the community. Thank you so much, family. I appreciate you too. Hoss Martin, you always teach me something. Thank you, man. I appreciate that, man. If you learn something, I should earn something. So I appreciate everybody who contributed. You guys are the real MVPs. Johnny Harris, drop the babies off and stop having them. How about that? That's a good idea too. But you know what? Human nature is what it is. Johnny Harris, femininity has pulled the proverbial rugs from under those foots. Yes, they have. Martin Dupree, people don't like to see and hear the truth. They certainly do not. And Lance Jackson, thank you so much for the 1999 Super Sticker. Now I want to share with you all something. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit more tomorrow. But I found this to be very interesting. This is let me let y'all look at this. This young lady has become very popular on these internet streets. If I can find it real quick. Let me see if I can find this. Ooh, she is something else. Let me think that's it right there. Hold on a minute. Golly. I'm gonna try to find this real quick, man. If I can. Y'all check this out. This is oh man. Listen to this. I'm gonna let you hear a little bit.
Friends and your aunties and your cousins are lying to you.
Ooh, fair use.
You are not better than. Neither are we. But if we did go tit for tat, I mean, do y'all really want to start taking polls? Because if y'all want to do the who's got the best twerk and who can do the y'all got it. Y'all got it. Y'all got it. Let's take a poll on feminine, soft-spoken, waking up all natural with nothing but naturalness. Do y'all want to start taking polls on very specific things? Because this delusion, it's holding you back. You think you're up, and you're not. I'm really frustrated that y'all made me have to do this. She's just going to label me a racist. She's a racist. Why? Because she can speak the truth bluntly, so y'all don't like that. Y'all don't like that. Y'all need someone to... Your feelings. That's why you surround yourself with a lot of people that feel just like you, and y'all bump each other up. And y'all are all in this big crowd. And the whole world is looking at you right now like... You lose. And it's not because you're okay. It's because of how you're acting. It's based off your actions and your words and your behavior. I know y'all. I know these brothers been trying to tell y'all this for a long time. They've been trying to tell y'all. Y'all didn't want to listen to them, right? Then they go tell the white tea girls and like, oh, tell the brothers they did. Let me look at you. Shit, fuck, they didn't lie. No lies detected. So stereotypes, right? There's stereotypes, and oh, we can't do stereotypes, and we can't do it. When we can, right? We can over here, we can over there. Wait, this is okay, that's not okay, y'all. y'all have made a lot of this little gray area. It could just be, black and white and okay, but y'all want a gray area. So who's the gray area for you? Now you're just all in your feelings and you can't figure shit out. Now you're just going to go battle yourself and be like, we are better. We are. Take it off, put it on, take it off. I don't know what to do with myself. You shouldn't have done that. You did this to yourself. You did this to yourself. It's not a hate thing. It's an I'm no longer going to pet your feelings thing. We did that. And it's backfired. And now it's backfiring because now we're sick of it. Dang. It's like we spoiled the child and now we got to, here's the consequences. They did. They finally broke the YT people from it. They did. I mean, they kind of like pushed them out. Like, there's only a few of them left. You'll run across your YT people every once in a while. You're just like, yeah, you're one of those. But not much, right? Because they've weeded them out. Now we gotta weed these out. Shit. Because we're actually truly as one. You know, we're all God's people, right? Why are y'all trying to preach that God don't want this? God doesn't, it's God's only for this. What? No. Why are you teaching that? God is disappointed in you. You are using his name to really misdirect his words and teachings. What? Sorry, Lord. But what? Let's go to class 1. We are all God's children. And God doesn't like ugly. And if I need to pray for forgiveness for what I'm doing, I will. But right now, I just feel like some of you need to learn something. It's funny. It's funny. It's funny to get people up in an uproar over the truth. I like it. Do y'all like it? Because I like it. Y'all think it's funny. I think it's funny. But then there's real. And there's real. And the real thing is, we've been trying to tell y'all. We just now trying to tell y'all. They are literally, the brothers are literally like, damn, they haven't. We've been trying to tell you. Y'all want y'all to be okay, man? Learn something.
So, the same white woman who convinced black women to involve themselves in a gender war that had nothing to do with black people is now teasing black women because she's gone back to her man. In fact, that particular young white woman is married to a black man, from my understanding. So she also has your man. So, sisters, if nothing else, if for nothing else, it's time to end this gender war. It's time to reclaim who you are as black women. Nevertheless, let's make something clear. You know, despite everything we're going through right now, I know we will make it through. I know we will come together because we have to. More important, because this is what our culture was designed to do. And don't let anybody lie to you about it. Not the pundits, not the immigrants who say we don't have a culture, not the elites who try to write us out of history. Our culture exists for one fundamental purpose: to get our people from one generation to the next under the most hostile conditions imaginable. That was what it was built for. That is how it evolved. We dealt with it after Reconstruction when the KKK, Ku Klux Klan, and the Night Riders tried to terrorize us back into slavery. We dealt with it during Red Summer of 1919, when mobs of white supremacists descended on black neighborhoods with fire and bullets. We dealt with it through Jim Crow, through segregation, through the housing covenants, through crack, through mass incarceration. Every time they tried to crush us, our culture carried us forward. The same culture they say we don't have. And how do we do it? We did it with the weapons of the spirit. We did it with our food, seasoned out of scraps, but turned into soul. We did it with our songs, Negro spirituals, blues, gospel, jazz, R&B, hip hop, always turning pain into poetry, rhythm into survival, sound into humanity, so loud that the world could not ignore it. See, with our art and our expression showing that no matter how they dehumanize us, we can never stop creating beauty. With extended families and play cousins and aunties and uncles and big mama and pops. Because when slavery and poverty tore bloodlines apart, we built new kinships to lean on. With our slang and our code switching and our African vernacular language, our inside language, it let us communicate right under the overseer's nose with our head nods and our grins. Even when we didn't want to smile, camouflage our communications in a hostile land with a unique balance of power in our households. Yes, sometimes our women, our Black women, were the ones allowed to dominate the home. Because, see, the outside world crushed Black men. And that was survival. And ironically, that was balance. It was our egalitarian instinct, brothers, is why now women across the globe are drawn to us. And when I say us, I'm talking about Black American men. They're drawn to men who are raised by women who will let them have say-so in the household over hollow, fake machismo, patriarchal societies where the men try to dominate their women through force. That's why foundational Black American men are so attractive. See, family, what I'm telling you is that our culture is not an accident. It's not an offshoot of African culture. Shout out to GCLA. We got 8 super chats. Maybe we'll get to 10 before I'm done. Our culture is not some loose collection of habits. It's a survival technology, the most resilient one in America. Think about it. I want you to understand. Look, the Italians came here. These olive-colored people from the Mediterranean with their own culture and their own food, it disappeared in the whiteness. They suffered racial injustice when they got here. The largest number of people lynched in Louisiana were Italians. They ran them out of Louisiana. They ran them out of New Orleans. You want to know why the New Orleans accent sounds so similar to the New York accent? Go down to some of these places called Kenner. It's that Italian influence. They came here with a rich culture, and their culture disappeared in the whiteness. The Irish treated like dogs when they got to the United States, even by their own people. They came here, and their culture disappeared into whiteness, just like the Italians. The Native Americans, they fought to maintain their way. They fought to maintain their culture as it was, and their numbers were decimated and their culture suppressed. And now, the only time you see Native Americans with any sort of prominence or prosperity is if you go to the boat, go to the casino on the plantation, which is an innovation on a reservation. But what about us? Foundational Black Americans. We are still here 500 years later. It's still a black and white country. Not only did we endure, but we forced America to look in the mirror and live up to its own ideals, being our Black selves. We refused to dissolve into the melting pot. We made America a salad instead of every group its own ingredient. Sometimes with a carrot, sometimes the tomato, but most of the time we're the lettuce. We are the culture, the foundation, the bulk, the taste, the thing that holds the salad together. We may not always be the majority in numbers, but we are the substance. We are the spice. We are the essence of America's story. We are the fight for freedom. So yes, winter is here. And our families are fragile. And our sisters are losing jobs, and our brothers are being locked out. And our children are drifting. But I'm not afraid, because I know who we are. And I know what our culture was designed to do. And I know that just as we survived every winter before this one, we will survive this one together. So let the record show, ladies and gentlemen, as I close out, that we are not done. We are not defeated. We are not dissolving. We are still here. We are still in this fight. And we will still rise. Because that's who we are as foundational Black Americans. This is Uncle D. I love you guys. And as I always said this time, I'm out.
Dennis Spurling.
In the city where the lights don't sleep, Uncle D got the vibe so deep. Representing men strong and free. Dennis Spurling's the king of the spree. In the streets where the rhythm flows, Black men rising, that's how it goes. Uncle D got the truth to show. In his heart, that's where the fire glows. Late night tuning, light up the stream. Dennis Spurling, wisdom gleam. Voices whisper truth and insight. In his podcast, feel the light. Harmony in every word. Truth and laughter you've heard. That's all right. Wave after wave of smooth delight. Dennis brings the dark to light. That's the blizzard, baby. Share the tales unfold. The stories war like morning gold. Feeling the wisdom inside me. Subscribing like time after time.
Black men, black men, black men. I want to salute you. Your incarceration rate is down. The education rate is up. We up. We went from, we are doing great for ourselves. So you should salute yourselves. Shout out to all the brothers out there, whether you're a truck driver or engineer, whether you're an electrician or garbage man, a doctor, a lawyer, if you a hard-working brother, if you fresh out the penitentiary, but you on your grind and you doing it legal and you trying to make amends for yourself, man, I salute you too, brothers. God bless you. This is Uncle D, and you know, I'm out.